ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast, here on the 5th of September, 2017.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
We've got the band back together. You've been off in Florida, haven't you, Dodger?
Yes.
On secret projects for business.
Yes, secret business projects.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. And then today, I went to the dentist for the first time in like 4 years.
Oh, dear.
Which was terrifying. Guys, go to the dentist more often than I do.
Yeah, if you can afford to do that.
If you can afford to.
That's kind of the problem in the US. That's the big thing getting in the way of most people, as opposed to them just being lazy. It's quite expensive, and that's not good.
Yeah, I waited until one of my teeth was in excruciating pain to go, and that was a bad call on my part. But
yep,
How did the dentist react? Because I imagine most dentists, I have to deal with people who are like, "Oh yeah, I floss all the time," and they give you that look like, "You liar."
But I didn't lie. I went in there and she was like, "So, do you feel any discomfort in your teeth?" And I was like, "One of my teeth hurts real fucking bad, and I know there are more cavities in there. So just give it to me straight." She was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So
I had to have. I think it was 2 out of 4 at least of my wisdom teeth were a fucking mess. One of them was cracked, and I was in excruciating pain. It took that long for me to go, and that was real dumb. So they just ripped them out, all 4. Just put me under, ripped them out.
Very solid and good relationship with my dentist and eye doctor. I see them way more than anyone else.
It's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had crazy teeth, y'all. I had like a tooth coming in like the back of my mouth. Yeah, it was wild. I had like braces twice. Oh yeah.
I had the full face mask thing going on at some point. I had to wear it every night.
Oh, the headgear. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah.
my biggest issue was grinding my teeth. My teeth are like really whenever dentists look at my teeth, they're like, "Oh, you definitely grind your teeth."
Yeah.
They yell at me because I have an underbite. They're like, "Put your teeth together." I'm like, "Okay," so put my teeth together, and they're like, "No, together." I'm like, what? They're like, your lower jaw is pushed out more. I'm like, I'm not trying to do this on purpose. They're like, well, you should really stop. I'm like, what?
That's not a very hard thing to notice. Whatever your dentist is that can't figure that one out, you might want to, I don't know, change.
Every dentist I've ever been to. I've been to many dentists, oral specialists. I have like a fake tooth. There was a period of my life where they drilled titanium bits. They're titanium bits in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
This is all fake, baby. This is, I'm a mess. I'm a real mess.
My teeth, my jaw used to be like that's how my teeth would match up. And they were like, "We're not going to give you anything corrective just yet because you're still growing, just in case." And it like slowly fixed itself. And I was so grateful because they were like, "Yeah, because otherwise, we'll have to like put all kinds of crazy shit in your mouth." I was like, "I don't want that."
I hope to God there are photos that exist of like little hey, it's me, Dodger. How's it going, everybody?
Jesse, with your underbite, did they ever tell you about like the surgery where they're gonna like crack your jawbone, bring it up, staple in place, and wire your jaw shut for a month? Because that's what they told me. I was like, fuck it, I'm keeping the underbite. I don't give a fuck.
No, they didn't. Like, they never. Yeah. It's never a thing where it's like, "Hello, everybody, I'm a wolf man." Like, it's never that. But it's one of those things where every time the doctor was always like, "Okay, we need you to bite down on something for an X-ray or bite like whatever." They'd always be like, "No, put your teeth together." I'm like, "I'm trying." So I'd have to.
I'm doing my best.
I have to like overbite. I don't know. I've had a lot of time with a dentist. Speaking of things that are not related to gaming, can I talk about the fact that the napkins in this office are hilarious?
Yeah, they're Tom of Finland napkins. They were sent to me from Finland.
These are our napkins in the office. We have like 1,000 of these.
He's a homosexual icon, man. Tom of Finland.
It's good to know.
Every time I just look down, I'm like, man, I just need to. Oh yeah, we're good now. I love. You know what? There's no condescension in their looks. They're like, you know what? Yeah, wipe that mouth.
Wipe that mouth.
Hey,
because there are 2 different designs of the napkins, and one of them is a bit more saucy than the other one.
Well, good thing I didn't find that and decide to show it.
I mean, if you had it, it's not like it would have been off-brand for this show.
You're right.
Well, to the Corruptional Podcast, we do occasionally talk about video games. Our revisiting host is today the one and only Quill18, who does mucho strategy and all that kind of thing, and is wondering, again, what the hell he got himself into. But he has no experience. Well, he has some experience with this show now, so he has no excuse this time around. He knew what was going to happen. So I don't have any sympathy for you anymore. Quill, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. And yeah, it's the non-gaming talk that I think draws me back.
Really?
Yeah.
There we go.
It's,
That's how we get them. That's how we get them every time.
Yeah, I did wonder about that. How many people are bothered by that and how many are not? I'm hoping, obviously, not too many, because that would suck for us and everybody else concerned. But hey, I guess it gives people, here's the thing, right? It's beneficial. It gives people time to ease into the show. Like, if they're late to the live broadcast, they have missed nothing of value. So, it's good to start that way.
They show up an hour later and we're still talking about movies.
Nothing
And they're like,
about
thank God.
I didn't miss anything.
They are
I
here
didn't
for our
miss
hot
shit.
takes onto the Jurassic Park franchise, and that's good.
Yeah.
But we do talk about video games from time to time. We will be talking about the games that we've been playing this week. That usually takes the first 2 hours or so of the show. Last half an hour of the show will be releases, what we have picked out from the unholy pile of arse that constitutes the Steam release list. And, of course, we'll do a little bit of news here and there. Have any companies screwed up this week? Oh, and how? Yeah, they certainly
we'll
have.
find out.
Yes, we'll certainly be mentioning things like that. That will definitely come up at some point, no doubt, in the not-too-distant future. So, without further ado, let us begin, as we always do, by talking about the games that we have been playing this week. I'm going to toss it right over to Quill to start us off. What you got? What's been going on?
What you got, Quill?
Well, when you contacted me yesterday about coming on the show and you said we should talk about XCOM,
Yeah.
I spent all yesterday and this morning playing a shit ton for The Chosen. And holy crap. First off, I gotta say, the price, I mean, it's like 55 Canadian pesos for this thing. But good
Hang on,
God.
Canadian pesos. That.
Yeah. The dollar's been fluctuating a lot. So.
Oh, okay.
Right,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get paid in American
Canada
bucks.
and Mexico have been talking for a while about this.
Yeah. I can totally understand why. But yeah. What about the price, though? So you think, is the price right, in your opinion?
It's hard to say. It's one of those things. How do you ever justify a price? It's going to depend on different people.
Absolutely.
Is this possibly the definitive iteration of XCOM? Yeah, I think maybe. It's so good. There's so much density of stuff, not just in terms of like fixed gameplay and extra UI niceties and things like that, but like extra depth of squad management and the new story mechanics with the frickin' the factions and the Chosen.
Yes.
Holy shit, really good.
Yeah, the Chosen are basically an implementation of sorts of the Nemesis system to some extent, and giving you that consistent antagonist that gets better as you do and that constantly taunts you and has... There's a lot of lines. Like, something really cool I noticed when I was watching Strippin's stream. The Chosen recognized one of the DLC weapons and made a comment on it, which I thought was pretty neat, because he was using the axes, I think, from the Alien Hunters DLC. And I was like, weapon of that craftsmanship must have been made as blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's neat. That's a nice little bit of detail. Adds a little bit of character. And I already genuinely hate the first Chosen. I despise. I got the assassin, the sort of invisible ninja stabby lady as my first Chosen.
Fuck her.
She is a dick. Oh my God. What an ass.
I don't know if the weaknesses vary, but in my game, like, she's vulnerable to explosions, which
She isn't
sounds like
meant
it'd be
to.
easy to take out with grenades, except every time I face her, I'm on one of the goddamn lost maps.
Yeah.
So I just keep getting swarmed. But the intensity is very high. Like, you've got the sort of time mechanic we're trying to push through. You've got these crazy hordes of lost where you're just like shooting 5 of them in a single round with a single character, which feels really badass. And then you have the crazy assassin that shows up and breaks all the game rules. I don't know. It can be very frustrating playing at higher difficulty, but
it's very cool.
It's cool, yeah.
Yeah. It's the price argument to me is when people describe this as XCOM 3, it could have very easily been a sequel. Had they released all of this as a sequel, I would not have objected to that fact.
Or standalone expansion kind of thing, but you need to buy the base game first.
You do, you do. It is a bit of a shame that this is not a standalone. Like, I think making it an expand-alone, as they call it, I think would have been a good way to do things. But when we look at it, this is an expansion in the old school sense of the word. This is not DLC. This is a full-on we're talking fucking level of Frozen Throne expansion. Like, we're talking Brave New World and Gods and Kings glued together. Like, in terms of the sheer amount of stuff, I'm constantly finding new things. And I'm finding, of course, that every new thing you add in, of course, then adds interactions with everything else that was already there. So that you're not just adding one thing. Every time you add a new thing, you're adding 50 things. Because it all influences everything else.
You get all the new rooms. You've got the fatigue mechanic. The bond mechanic makes me think of some of the elements from like Long War, where you'd have a squad leader and then you'd sort of build squad cohesion. So you've got that, but
a bit of Fire Emblem in there as well, only without the waifu, that kind of thing. Although we've started bromance, I have to say. We have demonstrated Pimp Mox. Gave him the red fedora. He already had the fur, so perfect. And he's voice acted by Worf, Michael Dorn, which is perfect. So he's having a bromance with our new Templar, who's like the psychic assassin. So they both work together, and it's a great friendship, and one of them will invariably die, and the other will go insane as a result. Adding negative traits in is great. Dodger is very familiar with that idea from playing a ton of Darkest Dungeon.
I was like,
It's not quite as
yes.
extreme. Oh god, there's some funny shit, though. Like, I have a guy with OCD who will compulsively reload at random, and that's annoying as shit. Someone posted a screenshot of a Templar who's afraid of psychic powers, which is a bit of a problem for a psyker. So there's a lot of fun stuff that can go in there. It adds not only that depth, but also flavor, and you get attached to your squad mates in a real way because they all have these unique attributes. And I've said it time and time again, XCOM's all about the war stories, and they've put in so many ways of now telling it. Just adding in that fucking Instagram photo booth into the game.
Oh my god.
It's so good.
I made one that because I got Sam killed like so many times, and I made a poster where it's like him like this with like a star shine in the background and a silhouette of a city, and it just says "My wife killed me twice." He's just like.
Yeah, like my first ever one was "She was in heavy cover. This is bullshit." Was the tagline. Like, there's all sorts of stuff like that. It's just genuinely funny, and it adds a real sense of character. And it means if a bunch of people are playing together, you can share your photos and all that kind of stuff, and it lets you. It makes you remember those moments. Like, it's a very useful, if superficial, idea. The fact that they put it in there to me indicates that they really understand that having people attach value to their troops gives real value to the gameplay experience by upping the ante, upping the tension. You care about these guys dying and telling their stories.
Every single person that I know who's put me on their team, I've died.
You're still alive on mine. Just to let you know that. To be fair, you survived all the way till the last mission on my first playthrough of it, and then
that's true.
Then you got turned into a zombie.
Final epic battle.
Yep, and then Stripping had to shoot you in the face with a sniper rifle. It's just the way to go.
Poetic.
Yeah, it was nice. We made bonds before bonds existed. I have to wonder how much of that was inspired by stuff like Fire Emblem, and how much of it was inspired by people just telling the stories of these guys. And
yeah.
It's good shit, and you're actually playing it now, Dodger, as well. You did avoid playing the first one, if I recall correctly.
I played the first one, but I never played XCOM 2 until now.
Right. Okay. I'm surprised you're diving in the deep end there, because War of the Chosen adds so much shit. Are you managing to handle that fact?
Honestly, the thing that bothers me the most is when you're. And everybody that I talk to about this doesn't seem to agree with me, so maybe it's just a me problem. But it's so cluttered when you're playing and you're trying to decide where to go. There's so many, like it tries to show you all of the layers at the same time while still making it clear like what layer you're on and how far you can go. But then like the silhouettes of things that are on the second or third level really fuck me up. Like it's really difficult for me to keep clear for myself on like where I'm going, where I need to be. Like I find myself double, triple, quadruple checking things because
I've had the same problem, and I've played a lot of XCOM 2. There's something they changed in the way the transparency for buildings and different floors works. Then they may have just increased the amount of verticality in the map variety. That probably contributed to it as well. There's just something about that which, I don't know, maybe there's a setting that we can change, but I noticed something like that too. And that was weird.
Because like I get that they need it can't just be like The Sims, right? Where they're like, nah, you can just look at the bottom level, because it really matters whether or not somebody's above you, or if you can get, go, like, you need to know where things are and what's happening.
Mhm.
But it's still frustrating for me. Like, I wish that I could even maybe just like toggle a button. Like if there was a key that I could hit that would make it so that those vanished for just a second, and then when I release,
I just can't remember what it is.
they come back.
Yeah,
That would
I
help me
think
a
that
lot,
does exist. I think also like getting used to using the mouse wheel to switch between levels is helpful too.
Mhm.
So that's kind of worth it. You're a fairly experienced XCOM player, but you did just dive into War of the Chosen, Quill. Have you run into anything about it so far that you've like either found confusing, cluttered, or just like not what you were looking for?
I've enjoyed everything so far. I feel like there's a lot more crap on the world map now, which is both very good, but also gives you a sense of it feels like there's too much going on, and it can be even more difficult than before to prioritize. But that's what happens. Like, more options is more better up to a point, and so that might be the only thing. But other than that, no, I've enjoyed it. I like the variety on some of the existing missions that were there before.
Yeah.
Like some of the retaliation missions. The mechanic now where you can finally get missions where the timer doesn't start until you break stealth, which was one of the most popular mods for people to download.
Yeah.
Was good.
But it's an order that you can issue, isn't it? Like, it's one of the resistance orders you can have as a bonus, but you have to choose that over some other things, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's another great. That reminds me a little bit of the Civ 6 sort of government system.
Yes.
These cards, which is a great way to make interesting and meaningful decisions in the game. I like the one where you guarantee one-shot kills on the Lost.
That's nice.
It makes it so much more fun to mow through them.
Yeah, I had a great mission on stream against the Lost where I was like, you know what? I want to summon more Lost to kill at the Advent over there. And put a wall of Lost between me and the Chosen. And it worked to some extent. Like, one of my soldiers was grabbed by one of the Vipers, the snakes, and there was like 6 or 7 Lost just dogpiled the Viper, knocked the soldier out of the Viper's grip, and then the soldier fucking legged it that way and left the Viper to die, completely surrounded by zombies. It was pretty great. I will say the AI, in some cases, doesn't quite deal well with the zombies. The Viper's answer to the zombies was, I'm going to hug one of them, because that'll work, and stay where I am. Whereas if it had used acid, it would probably burn through the zombies quite quickly. So I think maybe they need to tweak some of the AI a bit to deal with
typically
that.
The AI is really good, isn't it?
Most of the time, yes. Most of the time, the AI makes mostly smart decisions. I think it's just the fact that they threw a third neutral faction in that can attack both you and Advent has probably thrown it for a loop a little bit.
Have you built any of the lure grenades? I've researched them, but I haven't used them yet.
That sounds like a really good idea, though. Sounds like a very good idea.
Yeah, just throw a grenade into the middle of the Advent and let the zombies swarm them.
Yes, it works fairly well. I did have a problem with that mission where it was a supply drop mission, and I got like 6 crates. I'm like, fuck this, we're out of here. I didn't want to lose anybody. And because there was the tale of the brave stun lancer. So the little stun lancer that could is the last Advent left on the map. He is completely surrounded by Lost. He's dodging and weaving and smacking him down. And he's like, we wish we could just bring him like as a hero along with us, like just recruit him. Because he was still on the map when we left, we got none of the benefits of the mission. I was fucking furious. It really should have warned me of that, and it was illogical and stupid because the stuff had already been airlifted out, so why would you not get the rewards? But that fucking Lancer, it's the best thing about XCOM. You always have these fucking stories. Every time you play, you always have a new story to tell. I'm in. Very much in. I love it. It's good stuff. I'm glad people are enjoying it.
Similar thing sort of happened with XCOM 1, where the expansion became, no, you just want to play with this right from the start. That might not apply to War of the Chosen.
I don't think it does.
If you haven't played it, it might be too much stuff. Although it adds some interesting extra context to the story.
Yeah, I personally think if you've never played XCOM 2 before, you should not jump in with War of the Chosen. Do at least one short, easy run with the first one, and then go into it, because War of the Chosen adds a shit ton of new stuff. It's overwhelming.
I can't even tell. I can't even tell what is War of the Chosen and what isn't, because I haven't played XCOM 2 aside from War of the Chosen.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, you're handling it, so it sounds like you're fine with it. But personally, I would be recommending to new players not to go in with that first.
right.
I think it is
With
advanced.
With the struggles that I have had, the idea of maybe just going back and playing regular XCOM 2 first is appealing to me.
Maybe. It depends how far you've got into it. Like, if you're only a few hours in, maybe go back and do
I'm not
vanilla.
super far.
Yeah, maybe go back and do vanilla with the DLC and then hit War of the Chosen afterwards.
Yeah, I beat Invisible Stabby Bitch, and I think that's the last thing that I've done.
Okay. Well, you might be relatively far enough in anyway to not justify it. 'Cause you've probably got the hang of it now. Just be ready to lose. Like, it's okay to lose at a run.
Yeah.
So it's maybe worth a shot. I think if you're this far in, just keep going. I just think it heaps a lot of mechanics on you very early on all at once. And I think that's more of we want to make sure that people are interested enough in this who have played the original to want to play it again. Sometimes I feel like an expansion doesn't give you that feeling. I think this one absolutely does, because it layers it on thick with the new stuff.
I think that's how they wound up thinking about it with Darkest Dungeon too, when they made Crimson Court. They wanted to make sure that it added more than just a new area, that it added like new ways to think about the game in general.
Yeah, which is why I think that as a full-fledged $40 expansion, it is reasonably priced. If it were not, probably not. But, this is fucking Lords of Destruction level. This is, the good Civ 5 expansions. This is Frozen Throne level. Like, it even expands the actual story out in a big way with some really good, the best cutscenes I've ever done. So got some great VO in. Fucking Q is the leader of the Templar, and Worf is the leader of the Reapers. Not the Reapers, the Skirmishers.
Marina Sirtis is your agent on the Reaper side.
Oh, the Reapers, yeah. So they literally got 3 people from Star Trek Next Generation to do it, and they all do great jobs. I could not have told that was Mariana Sirtis, though. I thought that she sounds Russian. But
Dude,
hey.
The second that, I can't remember his name in the game, the second that Worf started talking, I was like,
yeah.
that sounds so much like Worf. And then a bunch of people in chat were like, it is him. And I was like, oh, sick.
Yeah, that makes me think like Firaxis are just like, how many Star Trek actors can we get in just because we want to nerd out a bunch? Apparently, Riker, Jonathan Frakes, is also the leader of the Reapers. So there you go.
I think there are supposed to be 5 voices. I don't know who the 4th one is.
And the actress who played Tasha Yar might be in it as well.
Oh, no shit.
That's very cool. Yep. It is excellent, in my opinion, so far. I haven't run into anything other than what you mentioned about the screen getting a bit cluttered and getting it confusing on multiple vertical levels. I haven't run into anything personally that has fucked with me. There's been a couple of bugs here and there. Nothing major. Load times are so much better now. Performance is so much better now. It's excellent. It's really, really good.
Yeah, very much.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, can we hop from here to Mario Rabbids?
Yes, we can. That was what I was hoping for. Yeah, let's go from one end of the spectrum to the other. They both came out on the same day. They're both obviously turn-based tactics games. Both otherwise could not be more different if they tried.
They both take themselves very seriously.
Of course they do. Absolutely. Jesse, you have not played XCOM, as I can tell by the 20 minutes of silence, but you have played Rabbids? No? Cool.
No.
If you just want to chill for the next 20 minutes, that's fine. Dodger, you've played Rabbids?
I haven't played Rabbids.
God, so you introduced the topic that you didn't know anything about, and you just
because
want us to talk
I want to hear about it.
Okay. Quill, have you played Rabbids?
Is that available on a PC?
For fuck's sake. Right. Okay, I guess I'm
TV,
the one.
How do you feel about Rabbids?
Oh, right. Apparently, how am I the only person that played this in an office with Gerard living in it? How am I the only fucking person that's played this game?
We've been overhearing him talking about it in a very serious tone, which is pretty hilarious.
Hey, you want to swap Jesse out for Gerard? I'm fine with that. You bring him in here. You're going to be useless anyway. Go get him. No, you have to stay. Jesse can leave. At least one of you is not getting out of this.
I really want to hear about it, so I'm not going anywhere.
I will talk to you about it from sort of the perspective of somebody that's very much into XCOM and how I think it's a very complementary experience to XCOM and how it just being simpler in many ways doesn't make it worse. It does not. He's busy,
not
isn't he?
around.
All right, fine.
Aw.
I will deal
He's
with it.
not around at all.
Yep.
I've seen stuff. It looks fun.
It does.
Not only does it looks fun, it plays fun, and it sounds fun too. So, the best way to explain it is that, yeah, it's a cover-based tactics game, a bit like XCOM. It's got a very similar set of systems whereby you have 2 actions. You can shoot and move, or move and shoot, kind of in that order, and you can also use a special action and a couple of other things every now and again. What's interesting about it is that they took the to-hit system and they simplified the whole fucking thing down. There are only 3 different chances to hit. 0%, 50%, and 100%. If you flank an enemy, it's a 100% chance to hit. If they're out of cover, it's a 100% chance to hit. You can't miss. Damage varies, but chance to hit does not. If they are in light cover, it's a 50-50. If they're in heavy cover, you can't hit them, but you can shoot the cover, which will damage it. So depending on what weapons you've got, you can break the cover down. So the game is very focused on movement. So you are going to have a lot more mobility than games like XCOM. Hunkering down and going to Overwatch, not a thing. Mario has an Overwatch ability called Hero Sight, and so does Luigi, by the way, called Steely Stare. Love it. Literally, his Death Stare is now an ability, which is perfect. I try to find any Rabbids footage that won't get me copyright claimed by Nintendo, a bunch of bastards. There's probably somewhere I can use, but hey. The game is very mobile. So, for instance, when you move, you have a slide attack. So you can move onto an enemy, slide them, and then run off and take cover somewhere else. You can also... Now, apparently everyone's saying, nope, don't put it up. Right, can't put it up. Blame Nintendo. I'm not paying them money for that shit. Anyway, you can jump on somebody and they can give you a boost to throw you through the air. If you combo with Mario, who, when he gets his first ability, he can jump on people's heads. You know, it's Mario themed, so you get extra damage for that. And then, of course, you take your shot, and you can do it in any order you want. And there's a lot of movement. Like, a lot of the levels have pipes that you can go through that get you the other side of the level. It is absolutely not a game about hunkering down and taking a lot of cover. Because flanking is real easy. Like, a lot of enemies have a lot of movement. They're probably going to flank you. If you can avoid it, that's great. High ground is useful. You do more damage up there. But you're still going to have the same hit chance. But it's the Yes, Jesse.
What is the ratio of Peach to Rabbids Peach? I asked this as a Rabbids Peach fan. I'll play the game if I can play as a lot of Rabbids Peach.
I have Rabbids Peach in my party, and I have no reason to remove her. You start with her. And I think you have to have one Rabbid character in your party of 3 at all times.
Right there. Rabbids Peach is... I love her. You
must have a rabbit character in your party because it's a cutscene related thing, because there's a lot of cutscenes with comedy involving rabbits, and they can switch them around, but you have to have at least one of them. So I kept Rabbid Peach. She's really good. You get Rabbid Luigi, Rabbid Peach, and regular Mario as your starting team. I got rid of Rabbid Luigi pretty quickly and replaced him with real Luigi because he's more of a sniper and he's got some cool abilities. Rabbid Peach has damage deflection and heal, and she's hilarious. She's fucking hilarious. She was getting eaten by a giant plant, and in the middle of it was taking selfies while it was happening. The game is full of character. Awesome. The cutscenes are genuinely funny. The writing is really funny. There's a lot of cool slapstick. The rabbits are not annoying. A lot of people were scared they would be. They're not. They're really not. So I was really happy with that. And generally speaking, the pacing is great. It's very satisfying to play. It's very quick to play. Battles are still tactical. You're still flanking. Like, if you played XCOM, you know your shit right off the bat. But there's a good selection of different weapons with different stuff on them. Like, they have different effects. Like, you can cover someone in honey, and that will make them sticky. You can cover them in ink, so they can't shoot because they can't see. My favorite is bounce. You can literally shoot them off the fucking level. It's great. It's exactly as fun as it sounds. There's a whole bunch of different cool abilities in the weapons. Like, we'll have different strengths against different kinds of rabbits and stuff. So there's a bit of equipment, and you can swap out secondary weapons as well, depending on who you're playing with. And there's skill trees for everybody too. So there's a good amount of customization. There is no permadeath. That doesn't happen. Basically, if you go down to 0 HP, your guy will be stunned until the end of the fight. If you win, he comes back up. If you don't, then you have to restart the fight.
I mean, understandable, right?
Yeah,
because if
permadeath
I was a
probably not a
little
thing.
kid and I was playing Mario Rabbids and then like Rabbid Peach died and it was like, well,
Yeah.
she's dead forever.
I don't
would
think that would be
sob.
very good.
I would sob.
Nope, that would not be very good. So that's cool. The two parts of the game are basically the tactical battles, and you you're running through the level and exploring it. That's the other bit. So you're collecting coins, you're trying to find secrets, you're doing little environmental puzzles to get chests so that you can get new items, and that's basically it. Like, there's a few mazes, there's a few little kind of platformy sort of puzzles where you have to rotate a thing around to get to the right place. So navigating through the worlds is mostly that. And that's the thing that breaks up the battles. So there's no strategy layer or anything like that. That's not what it's for. But it's slick. It's really well animated. It's colorful. The music from Grant Kirkhope is spot on. It's very, very good. It's, to have a person that's not a Nintendo composer compose what's basically a Nintendo game is very rare. And he did a great job of it. I really enjoy it. I think it's a nice... I play XCOM during the day, and I play this in the evening. Like, this is a nice chill-out game before
This is your
bed.
wind-down game.
It's my wind-down game, yeah. It's a little bit less frustrating. It's a little bit less bullshit. Like, I don't ever yell, that was bullshit at the game. That's the nice thing about having the 100%, 0%, 50-50. There is very little of that. So, I think it's a great game. I think it's a must-buy for the Switch. I genuinely think it is that good. I think it's a killer app for that machine. The first one, in my opinion, because I don't really view Zelda or Splatoon as that. But this, yes, absolutely. This is a must-buy game.
Oh my God. Speaking of me sobbing, I finally sat down and played Sonic Mania, and it made me cry.
I'm sorry, it made you cry? What?
I started crying because I felt so nostalgic playing that game.
Yeah, I got a lot of feels from that as well.
Which
It reminded me of going over to my friend's house, my neighbors.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like by myself, I was playing, and I was just like, God, the music and the way it feels to play it, and like I felt so overwhelmed. It was so dumb, but yeah, it's great, man. That game is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I think the sort of honeymoon period with that game is over, where people are starting to sort of nitpick it. I'm not really convinced by a lot of those arguments. It's like, well, there's some momentum issues on some of the bosses. I'm not into Sonic enough to care.
Yeah, same.
I'd have to have played a lot of Sonic for that. To me, the game feels movement-wise very much like Sonic did. And my biggest complaint about that game is, and still is, the stupid fucking blue orb bonus stages are bullshit and annoying. Thankfully, you don't really have to do them. It would just have been nice if they'd picked a better special stage or made a new one, because I don't think that one is good.
I'm kind of okay with it, but I haven't played enough of them yet that I'm like, God, this is repetitive and stupid. I kind of appreciate the breakup, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like being in the middle of a 2D Sonic thing and then being like, what if it was 3D now? And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I think they just could have picked a better one. I think the one that you do to get the Chaos Emeralds is really good. I think it's a good version of Sonic 2 stage without being bullshit. And it fits the theme quite nicely. I wish they'd come up with something better for the special stages that you collect when you have 50 rings. Otherwise, it's a very old school Sonic game, It has lives, and it matters, Sonic lives matter, #. It is very much a game made for people that like the original Sonic games. And I think in that respect, it succeeds almost completely.
Yeah. It's great. Oh.
It is.
I'm so happy.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of great nods to people without going overboard on the Sonic fandom. Because let's be honest, of the fandoms, the Sonic one is on the weirder end sometimes.
The Sonic fandom already goes overboard all on its own. It doesn't need help.
It does not need help, you're right.
You're there?
Yeah.
Huh?
Nothing.
What?
What?
Are you defending the Sonic fandom? What's going on?
Huh?
Yeah. There's a lot of Jesse the Hedgehogs out there, and I'm proud of them.
Oh, dear.
None of my hedgehogs look cool.
Maybe
that's
your
why you
problem.
hate it.
So
That's why I
that's
hate
my
it.
issue
Yep.
with the fandom.
Oh, my. Okay. Let's move on to something that Jesse's played, because I want him to work for his money.
Okay.
What you got? You were at PAX. You better have played some cool shit.
Yeah, PAX happened. Would you play at PAX?
All right. Oh my god. So, I started my day playing Shadow of War.
Okay.
I was only there for a day's worth of actual looking around the con.
Right. Tell us about that then, because let's be honest, last few weeks that game has had a lot of shit laid on it.
Here's I think the biggest thing that I think everyone's gonna agree on: the actual stuff you do in Shadow of War is a shit ton of fun, but all the stuff they've thrown onto it makes it a game where it's very hard to support the things they do.
Yes, especially this week.
Yeah, especially the day I went to go play was the day I saw that video that was like, hey, one of our devs died and we're going to do this thing for him and put him in the game. But by the way, like the vast majority of the world and only up to a certain amount we're actually going to give to his family. Everything else goes to the company. It's like,
that was not a fun video to make.
How do you do a thing like that?
How do you fuck
WB?
that up?
Yeah, so needless to say, the actual game itself is very, very similar to the first and core gameplay mechanics, except they've added new things. So now each region has a new fort, and what you do is you can take over these giant forts, and each fort is based off of like the orcs that live there. And so my play session was about the guy's like, well, your objective is you want to take this fort. I was like, okay. He's like, you can go do anything you want to do, you can do, and we'll make that happen. But that's the objective. So I went around and like mind controlled orcs and shit and got them all on my side. And then this time, both the orcs and you have, as you level up, you had like, I'm going to select this skill. Now there's sub branches for each skill.
Nice.
So there's if you want to mount things and you want to quick mount things.
Oh, you want to mount some things.
You can do that.
Too easy.
But then under that, there's like giant dragons you can ride now, or Karagors, or whatever the hell, trolls, and you can mount whatever you want now. And they're wild, like wyvern beasts that fly around that you can, if you shoot them enough and hurt them enough, they're like, oh, I'm so broken. You can jump on them and control them and like spit fire down at orcs, and it's pretty great. But because I am terrible at games, every time I attempted to take that fort, I would go out and like recruit an army, and I make this great battle strategy. Every time I go take this fort, I'd always end up, because what the fort is it's 4 capture points. Mm-hmm. And when you take the capture points, then it takes you to another level, which is, okay, you've captured the courtyard. Now you have to go and you have to fight the commanders. And then you can fight the guy who is the captain of the fort. And every time I would fight any commander, like 5 commanders would show up. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I would just get slaughtered over and over again. But it wasn't the commanders who'd do me. It would be like one guy named like Scrag. And so the next time I come back to the fort, it's Scrag the Unkillable. I'm like, fuck this guy.
That was the best thing about the first one. Like getting taken out by some random fuckwit, and then suddenly you come back and he's the fucking leader now because he killed you. That's amazing.
And that was my driving motivation, is I was like, I'm going to get your ass, Scrag. And we only had an hour to play. So, it's one of those things where I felt the need to keep playing, and I felt the desire, like, all right, the core fun of what this game is still exists. They've added a bunch of other shit. But at the end of the day, it's about you and your nemesis, and how from the very get-go, the very first time I died, I was like, I'm going to find that son of a bitch. And then when I realized he was upgraded to like every attack he did was poison now. So fighting it was even harder, and I was like, fuck this guy. It was cool. I hate that everything else they've done to the game makes it one of those things where it's like, how do you support something that you know you'll enjoy, but at the same time, it business-wise has done a lot of shitty things. So.
It's abhorrent at this point. The shit, and how they've handled this charity thing is disgusting. And they put out a statement last night, and by statement I mean it had like 12 words in it, that was like, we will not be profiting from any of these things. They didn't explain how that's actually possible, because the official Twitter made it abundantly clear, 100% clear, that any purchase from outside of the US, or also from within 6 or 7 US states, would not go to the family. That's been confirmed. So unless they have suddenly changed their mind on that, then where is that money going? And Warner Brothers just declined to explain. So basically right now they're making the money off the back of a guy who died of cancer. Nobody is cool with that at all. So
the premise by itself is a good, like, what they're like
memorializing someone's a good one. Yeah,
is awesome. The way they've gone about doing it is sneaky as shit, because it's like, we're gonna give the family the money. Wink, like
some of it.
Yeah, some of it, and also if you're not in the U.S., then it doesn't count. Or some U.S. states. There's even states in the U.S. where it's like, sorry, no, that doesn't count there either.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people say, well, it's because of tax law. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but here's the thing. Warner Brothers has a fucking Orc Legion worth of lawyers, many of whom are focused on tax, and particularly they're focused on evading tax, as we discovered the last couple of weeks when Bunny Hop released an expose, which I believe included Warner Brothers, of major games publishers who have been engaging in massive international tax evasion. So they know exactly what they're doing. They could very easily figure out a solution to this. They just chose not to. They're basically doing this in the laziest way possible, and as a result, they have put themselves in the middle of a PR shitstorm and essentially dishonored the memory of a dead man who worked for Monolith. The whole thing is just disgusting. I absolutely fucking hate it. I hate how it's become. We shouldn't even be talking about this.
It sucks because while I was in the process of playing it, I was like caught up in it again. I felt what I felt during Shadow Mordor. I was like, this game is going to be so much fun. But the entire time, like literally an hour before, I just watched that video and was like, I can't help but think, my support of this game means that I support them fucking people over.
And it really kind of does. Like, people have said, I'll just buy the game and not buy the microtransactions. I'm afraid that's not enough. Like, if you don't care enough, that's fine. I don't think nobody should judge you for that, because it's video games and you've got more important shit to do, right? You have a real job and your family and everything to worry about. It's cool. You don't have to care about it. But you can't go in and say, well, this is as effective as a boycott, because it's not. You're still buying the game. Even if you don't buy the microtransactions, you're buying into a system that is supported by them. And bear in mind, those microtransactions are going to affect your play experience, whether you engage in them or not. It's going to affect the pacing. If you try to engage in that multiplayer fortress invasion mode they have, you're going to be going up against guys who literally, kind of like FIFA Ultimate Team, have bought their fucking team of Uber Orcs to murder you. Yeah. That's bad. That is a problem. My solution.
Not fun. Right?
No, it's not. Like, they have sucked all the fun out of it before we even started. Like, everything they've come up with is not. These are mechanics that are not fun. Like, who the fuck wants orcs out of loot boxes? That doesn't make any fucking sense. The idea that gold can be acquired by buying pizza rolls. Talk about just pissing on the fucking IP, right? It's like, oh yeah, that's really thematic, guys. Thanks. You've really got a commitment to the Middle-earth universe, haven't you?
Mr. Frodo, I brought you pizza rolls.
I brought you Totino's. What's Totino's, precious? Totino's.
Totino's.
Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Fuck that.
Pizza rolls for you. And he carries them. Also a plate of Tostinos up.
Yeah. And people are like, well, what should I do? I want to play the game. I recommend just waiting. Chill on it. Buy it on sale. Like, if it's got bullshit like this in it, that means it's not worth full price. So don't pay full price for it. Wait for it to go down. It will. I mean, fuck, you could get a Shadow of Mordor for $3 on multiple occasions over the last couple of years. It will go down. Buy it in a sale. That's the best way to deal with it. Don't support it at full price. Don't buy it on day one. What a fucking kick in the teeth it would be to these guys if nobody bought that game on day one. God, that would scare the shit out of them. Think about that. What a great idea. It won't happen.
It won't happen, but...
No, not a chance. But think about if it did. That might actually give them the slap in the face they need to finally realize that the stuff they're doing actually is pissing people off.
Yeah.
It's a shame, because as you said, I don't think anyone believed the game would suck. No way. I'm excited for the game, of course. I loved the first one. I can't wait to find my new nemesis and make new stories with them. And I like, they've added a gear system, which is pretty neat, Some of it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like, why would you find a pristine piece of Rohirrim armor that fit you exactly in the middle of Mordor? I don't know. But it looks nice, and some loot systems are pretty cool, especially if they add some really neat stuff in it. I think that adds to the game quite well. But yeah, it's a real shame. Real shame. We'll see. I just want Warner Bros. To solve this problem with the charity thing. That statement was bullshit. No way is that enough to explain what's happening. No way. Not okay with it.
Yeah.
What else did you play at PAX, Jesse?
Yeah, tell us. Let's get a bit more positive. Let's go.
Yeah, I played a bunch of cool shit. All right, so first off, next, I've talked about this before. I'm gonna keep talking about it. I played Battlechasers again.
Yeah.
Just old school RPG fun. I'm thrilled that a game that based off a comic I read when I was like a tween exists, and I'm thrilled.
Super cool, right?
It is. It looks gorgeous. It plays like a straight up old school JRPG, because that's sort of the conceit of the comic and the conceit of the world is that that's what it is. It is like an American take on the JRPG.
On a JRPG, yeah.
Very
American art style, I've noticed.
And it has all the tropes and then flips them on their head. So you have the young girl who's the tank, and you have the giant robot who's the healer, and the old man who's the magician, but he only uses like dark demonic tentacle fell-based magics.
Nice.
And
cool.
It's super good and fun. The dungeons are done in a sort of procedural way, but it allows you to go around and explore different things. And the fights are essentially just, you're on one side of the screen and the enemy's on the other, and that's, you power up things and you hit. There's little timed events and things sometimes, but it's a JRPG at its core. And it's really hard to describe except for, go watch a trailer of it and you'll be like, oh, okay, I know what this is. And either you're in or you're out. Like, it's that simple. But everything I've played so far is a ton of fun, and I've been waiting for this game for a while, so I am super on board. And every time I play it, I get a little more hype. So we are slowly getting there, and hopefully this game will be out soon. Next on my list was Monster Hunter
World, I assume.
Monster Hunter World, yes.
Okay.
How is it?
It was super, super fun. So I was lucky enough that I had one of the Capcom like reps with me, and so she was like, I'm gonna get you in here and we're gonna play with 3 like randos, and you are like, I'll show you like cool things to do and try to teach you some fun tricks. And so the way it works, I'm sure if you've seen the demos before or all the trailers before, is you are hunting monsters while God, it's me describing Monster Hunter. Fuck, everyone should know the premise of Monster Hunter now. You're hunting monsters. And the way this one works is the environment is actually really useful. And so she was like, climb up on this cliff. So we were fighting this big T-Rex monster. And this the monster's like down this sort of pen area when you start, and there's a bunch of cliffs around him. She's like, jump up on the cliff and then run and jump off onto him. And I was like, what? And so you can jump on the monster, and it's kind of like a riding a bull mechanic where you have time to stab, but then he starts to like thrash. And
yes, Shadow of Colossus style.
Yeah, you have to hold on. And then you can also attack different areas, and depending on what weapon you have, you affect things differently. So if you have a big heavy weapon that, is a very slow swing, if you, for example, jump on and hang on to this T-Rex's tail, you can cut his tail off eventually.
Right.
But if you have little daggers, you're not going to cut his tail off, but you can piss him off and do a lot of damage if you're up by his head, like poking him in the brain, right? So there's a lot of different places you can go.
It seems like, sorry to interrupt you, it also seems like they've been inspired a bit by Dragon's Dogma with some of these things.
Oh, yeah. It definitely has that vibe of Dragon's Dogma boss fights. Absolutely. And so what you can do is then, in certain scenarios, when he does throw you off, there's a trigger where if you hit it in time, you can like latch on to vines above you and pull a tree down on his ass. Nice. Or you can you can do certain things that will like mess up the environment around the dinosaur, or in this case dinosaur, but whatever you're fighting.
Monster.
Yeah, monster. And there's a lot of additional monsters in the area that you can, for example, you can like use the pheromones of one thing to attract another monster in, and then have a monster fight while you try to take down. So monsters can attack each other The world, like most Monster Hunter games, has the smaller animals and things running around, but you can even have those join in and help you if you can trick them into doing it. And it was really cool. At first, my team was very much together. It was me and 3 other industry professionals.
Influencers.
And so we all joined together and we were hunting this T-Rex. And there are trying to think of, they're flies basically. I'm trying to think of what, like tracking flies, where if you can level up. This is something I did not know. As you go through and track the different animals, if you find a footprint or you find some saliva or some blood and you examine it and you study it, you can track, like you get a little level up ding. And if you do it a certain amount of times, you can level up your tracking abilities.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And so your tracking flies, once you get enough information, will be like, we know where it's at, boss. And they'll like fly over and you can follow them around and they'll never not follow the monster, which is so needed for me, because sometimes in those games it'll vanish and I'll be like, where the fuck did this monster go? And I'll have to like search around for it. I like that flies are just like, it's right over here, dum-dum.
Hey.
But yeah, at a certain point, after its tail came off and after it was really wounded, I was like, we got this. And it's like, bing, 10 minutes left. I was like, we're going to kill this thing. Everyone on my team left to go fight another bigger, more insane looking monster. That was not our objective. And I was like, no, don't go. And they just kept getting killed over and over again. And I was like, that's cool looking, but it's not what we're trying to kill. And they're like, yeah, but look at it.
This is why you hate industry professionals, am I right? Useless.
Oh.
They're all useless.
It was so fun. So, of course, I managed to, like, take it on by myself, and I was, like, dodging and rolling because I had 2 daggers. So I was going, like, under its feet, and I was just stabbing him in the legs. But I'm doing, like, 6 damage a time. So I'm like, yeah, get wrecked, dude. And eventually he, like, stumbles and falls over, and I thought, yeah, we finally got this guy. F this monster. And then he comes back up, and his neck, like, unfurls, and now he spits fire. And so
lovely.
So at one point I was like, I'm gonna jump on his back again. F this guy. I don't know, because the woman who was with me didn't have an answer for me, but I hope my like theory is true that the monsters evolve to the way you fight them. I don't know if that's true, but I hope that's true, because every time I saw a cliff, I would run up and jump on the cliff and jump off and like start stabbing him in the back and ride him for a while. At a certain point, when he learned to breathe fire, or when he finally started breathing fire, I ran up to a cliff, went to go jump, and he literally did a 180 turn and shot me with a fireball and instantly like knocked my ass off the cliff. I was like,
that's awesome.
It was awesome. So that was a ton of fun. We totally failed because another monster, good news, another monster was down to half life at some point. So awesome to my team. Good work, guys. But it was super cool. It was something I wish that I had on film, because there was a moment where I was like, I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch, and the monster just turned and like death glared me and fireballed my ass. I was like, whoa.
Very nice.
Yeah,
it sounds like fun. I'm glad to, and I probably will play it. It's been on like the least ideal platforms for a long time, I think.
But
understandably,
PC.
yeah, it's going to be great. You know, it's an ideal game for PC. I understand why it's been on DS as much as it has, because it was aimed at the Japanese market. But this is why we're getting World and not getting XX, I guess. You know, which is fine. I'm okay with that. The art style's a little different. It still seems to have some comically oversized weapons, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. So as long as that's okay, then
little cat people.
Yeah, as long as they're still in the game. Yeah,
pull you off the battlefield. Like a bunch of them come and like drag you off on a stretcher, and it's very cute.
We were watching the footage where like 20 of them threw ropes around the monster and tried to hold him down. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I can't wait to actually play with people. It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah.
I went to Square Enix and did like a Square Enix thing.
Okay.
I will simply say I do not and still not have any clue how to play Dissidia. I couldn't tell you. I sat there for an hour trying to figure that shit out. I could not.
I love Dissidia. I played a ton of it on the PSP.
I was like looking at the controls like, what the fuck? So I gave up on that. I played the Secret of Mana remake, which
is
how is it?
It looks incredible. I have two glaring issues. One, the voice acting has no, like, it's a game that it's like the first time you heard someone voice act Cloud. It's, you spent so many years with that character that you're like,
in the
don't
head
sound like that. Yeah. So that bugged me. But the glaring issue that I found, the one that really pissed me off, was in Secret of Mana original. It's SNES. It's that like sort of kind of top-down view. When you attack, you have three basic attacks. You have a poke, you have a slash, and you have a jump attack, right? And it's like this jump. But you don't control that. It just does it because it's like a flourish of the basic attack. It does the same thing in this game, except this is a 2.5D view kind of deal. And so when you do the jump attack slash, there's a chance you'll just straight up miss an enemy. And it's not because, like, it's right there. It's like, wounded and hurt, and you'll do like a, I'm going to finish you, and you'll just miss. And I'm like, boy, do I hope they fix that for launch, because that shit, level 1. It's not like you missed because of your chance to hit or something like that. It's just straight up, your sword did not connect with the enemy because you had to do a little flourish attack.
Right. I mean, that's going to get fixed. Like, the game's not out until 2018. That's getting fixed.
Oof, that was rough. But the first boss fight, the one I think everyone knows, once you get the sword and then you go back down and then they're like, oh, you're in trouble now. And then the whole, like, the floor opens up and you fight like your first monster underground. Yeah. That shit was super fun. That was it. It felt more like a modern boss fight because you can move and duck and dodge and weave through his attacks than it did like back in the SNES day, you know, because it's just felt better. So there's a lot to hope for that game. I hope it's amazing, but we'll see. There was a lot of problems that I had that I was like, I hope this gets fixed. And then I played Lost
One last
Sphear,
game before we go to a break. Lost Sphear, did you say?
Yes, is that, oh my god. Is that the name of it? Yeah, Lost Sphear.
Okay.
It is the I believe so. Yeah, it's Tokyo RPG Factory. It's their follow-up to I'm Setsuna. It plays almost the exact same way as I'm Setsuna. So if you loved that game, which I did, you're gonna love this one. The premise is
sure it's called Lost Sphear. I can't find a single piece of footage on this game.
Yeah, it's Sphear.
Oh, Lost Sphere, not Lost Fear. Okay.
Lost Sphere.
Right. Okay.
It is, the premise is simply that parts of your world are disappearing into this weird white glow, and you're trying to figure out why. I mean, it's like your general RPG, like something terrible's happening, and only we, because we weren't there at the time, can figure it out.
Right.
We have to save all of our friends. It has all the tropes of the main characters, like, man, I don't know if I can do this. And his best friend is this girl with like two big gauntlets who does not give a fuck. And then the third guy is the kid who's like, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna pass out. And that is, it's the anime trope.
Classic, yeah.
But I don't care. I love it. It's super good. I played that, I think, the longest because I was super into it. So I'm ready for that. But yeah, I mean, we can take a break if you want, because I have Wolfenstein.
Yep, we have a lot to talk about, and we still haven't got to Battlestar Galactica, which myself and Quill are probably going to just circle jerk over for the next 30 minutes, so you can be involved in that if you like, or you can stand back and stay out of the way. I wouldn't blame you.
Watch out for that flak.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's going to be a lot of flak going everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the bosses I fought. That was
Shut it down.
No problem. We'll take a break. When we come back, more about the games that Jesse played at PAX and more about the games that we have been playing this week. You're watching the Co-optional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional Podcast. And before I go on, those of you that enjoy the podcast might be interested to know that we have a new Co-optional animated episode available for you.
It's so good.
There are some really good just snapshots.
There's some very, very good stuff in it. Artist has really outdone himself on this one. It looks great, as you can see at least a bit on the screen. It's called the Amoebocalypse, something along those lines.
Yeah.
You might want to go watch it. Maybe during like the next break if you happen to be watching live. Go now if you want. There'll probably be nothing good said in the next 3 minutes anyway, but wow. It's pretty great. What I would like to do is give a very quick plug to this fellow's Patreon. As this is Patreon funded, we basically pay him a bunch of money ourselves, and anything extra he earns for the cartoon comes from generous donations from you lot. It's patreon.com/co-optional animation. Patreon.com/co-optional animation. If you want to toss $1 his way, he only gets paid every time he makes a cartoon, so it's not monthly or anything. So if you'd love to do that, we'd very much appreciate that. Thank you. Cool. Well, I have the rest of this American Dream slice that I wish to eat. So, since we were able to give Jesse a break for the first half an hour of the show, tell us a little bit more about something you want to talk about at PAX, like something along the lines of Wolfenstein,
let's talk Wolfenstein.
maybe?
Okay.
Yes.
Straight up, best thing I played there, hands down. It won the show. It was so much fun. Let me set the stage. Of course, because they're going with the theme and they continue to do so. The area for Wolfenstein was set up like a diner, from the trailers. And they gave milkshakes to everyone who played the demo.
Cute.
I know. And so the actual demo itself had a lot of cuts in it. I think because they're either trying to make it so more people can see it, because you knew they were cutting out either extreme violence or a spoiler scene. But the overall gist of what you're doing was playing the beginning of the game. And if you haven't beaten the last Wolfenstein, spoilers abounds, you're hurt when you start. And you are on a sub that is being hijacked by Nazis, and you have just woken up from a coma, and BJ Blazkowicz spends the opening of this game murdering Nazis in a wheelchair. And it is the single craziest thing I've ever done, because what it does immediately is say to you, you can't use stairs, so you need to find creative ways to get through this level, which opens up the fact that for the rest of the game, you're not just going to be running around on walkways and platforms and stairs. There's other better ways to get around. And I think that was a really cool thing they added to the very beginning, which is like, hey, dum-dum, there's fun things you can do in this game besides just like shooting dudes.
Right.
But it was essentially you slowly wheeling in a wheelchair with a machine gun hidden under your leg. And every once in a while you come across a bunch of Nazis, be like, oh, look at him. Oh, he's so enfeebled. And you just like gun them down. It felt so good. You're just like, yeah. And then they introduce a character from the previous game who comes back. And it turns out the technology of the Nazis has gotten way better. And you're now a little bit more into the future of this alternate reality. And they immediately introduce a villainous character, and then that villainous character's daughter. And the daughter is not at all what you would expect. And I think what they've done is really creative story-wise. And I'm going to try not to spoil any of it, because I know it's going to be very important to the story. And it's one of those things where I can't wait to see where it goes. I can't wait to see how they take this story compared to the last one. It felt good. It played very, very well. There's one cutscene that is genuinely hilarious. It's the very beginning, so it doesn't spoil anything. You wake up, you've now rolled down this hallway, and there's this grid set up that one of the characters that you know from the previous game is like, Blazkowicz, what are you doing? Get over here. And there's a hallway with these like sound panels. I'm trying to think of how to describe them, but anyone who walks through them is bombarded with these rays and explodes, right? So this guy has set this up as a defensive thing to hold off the Nazis as they're coming through. And so BJ and this guy have a conversation that lasts like 3 or 4 minutes, where he tries to explain to you what's going on. And in the background of the entire conversation are Nazis trying to get through this perimeter and just exploding. And so they as it goes on, they try to get more and more clever. So one guy like sort of peeks around, his head like blows off, and like a bunch of other guys are like, all right, what if we like all go through at the same time and they all explode? This whole amazing scene in the background where they're having this really serious conversation about like what's happening in the world and how he's been out in a coma for like months and months and months. Yeah. And he's like, Blazkowicz, we have to figure out what we're going to do. And then in the background, there's just Nazis exploding. It's so damn funny. And it's like, all right, they get what this game is. They immediately understand. And it was, in its gore and silliness, it had the exact same charm in the last game, where you were just like, I know I'm going to enjoy the shit out of this. So it was a solid demo, and I'm even more excited than I was before.
Good to hear. The first one was pretty great. Wasn't so keen on the expansion, I have to admit. It was alright, not brilliant. It was okay. I mean, the first one was just so good that having a bit more of that was okay, but I don't think it was necessarily up to par. I am seeing quite a lot, especially in some of those cutscenes, probably because I nicked some footage from Polygon, so of course they focused on mostly walking rather than shooting at things, but there was a lot of looking at stuff and kind of cutscenes. It reminded me of Bioshock Infinite in many ways, and some of that's good. I'm just hoping that that's not overdone, because one of the best things about Wolfenstein was there wasn't a lot of that.
Yeah, it's just like the previous Wolfenstein where it's not intrusive. If you want, you can go out and hunt for that stuff. If you want to like peek through grates or whatever and like spy on conversations, you'll get a scene and stuff, but you don't have to. There are books that you can find, there's notes you can find, there's all sorts of things that you can discover in the world. You know, if you want to take the time to do that, you don't have to. It does not affect your actual gameplay at all.
Right.
It's just like, I found a book and it was written, there's a note by this like random Nazi guy in it, but he's dead now, so what the fuck do I like?
Yeah. There's mostly the sequence where I saw him with his weapon down, very slowly walking, which makes me think that's just like one part of the game where you're in the town. I'm just hoping there's not a lot of that, I guess. Yeah. It's okay in small doses.
It was super fun. I will say, so I went and I played both the new Far Cry and Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
Far Cry, they did the thing that Horizon Zero Dawn did with their demo, which I hated, because it's open world. They like have an invisible wall, and if you go past that, it like ports you back.
Right.
I hate that in demos.
It's a little annoying. Yeah.
You don't know where you're going. It's the first time playing the game, and it's like you have 10 seconds to turn around. It's like, what? Oh my god! But
especially if you're in a vehicle, that's a nightmare because you've probably gone too far and then you can't get back.
Yeah. Later on in the demo, you fly in a plane and you get in a dogfight. And the enemy that I was chasing after left the boundaries of where I could play.
Oh.
I was like,
that sucks.
Right, I guess I'll wait for him to come back. But with that said, from the get-go of the demo, it was like, okay, select who you want your partner to be. It can either, and I think I was playing a woman, I'm not sure, but her breathing sounded feminine. So I guess that's the main character.
That is the creepiest thing I've heard you say in at least a week, and for you, that's impressive. Her breathing sounded feminine.
It didn't sound like it sounded like a more feminine running noise. I don't know.
Okay.
But you could pick one of three characters to join you, and there was a guy, there was another girl, and then there was a dog. And of course I picked the dog.
Pick the dog, obviously.
Always. And one of the things I learned was that the dog, because it's just a dog, if you send the dog to scout enemies, you know how in Far Cry you can like select your targets and like, oh, I know where everyone is. The dog will automatically do that for you because you can run around and like sniff people and he'll know where everything's at. But no one gives a shit because it's just a dog.
It's a dog.
So you can, you can send your dog in to scout. So the objective was to take over this town. And the guy who was like hosting them was like, you want to be real sneaky because there's exactly 23 enemies. And you want to like really make sure that you
fuck that.
He's like, there's also hostages, so you should like climb up this water tower and there's a sniper rifle up there, and if you get that sniper rifle you can really start taking them out. Use the dog. So I get up to the top of the town and shoot the gas truck that's in the center of town. All of these cars, like everyone jumps in their cars.
Amazing.
And drives the gas truck, and so I just shot the gas tanks of the cars and blew up the cars, and like I think I beat the town part in maybe like 3 minutes. And the guy was like, well, you weren't very sneaky. And I was like, you've never seen me play Far Cry. This isn't a
stealth game. It's Far Cry, dumbass.
I can play Metal Gear.
And then,
anyway.
Yeah, and then the next part was like go around, talk to people in town, and you know, it gives you a very like my big thing was how the hell do they make a game about like the middle of America and a bunch of like religious zealots taking over without the government of the United States showing up being like, no.
Yeah, that is a fairly good question.
They try to explain it, but it's one of those things where it's like, we're on our own out here. So I don't know what the overall story is.
That would never happen ever.
Yeah. But
maybe it's an apocalypse setting.
It definitely isn't.
Maybe society is broken down.
I swear to God, I saw a highway with like trucks driving on it. I was like, I feel like everything's okay.
It's just something you got to suspend your disbelief on, I guess. At least if it's like on a fucking tropical island or it's in like the Himalayas, you can suspend your disbelief because there's a giant federal military presence there. It's God, that's on the level of North Korea attacking the United States by air, for fuck's sake.
There's got to be a reason. I'm waiting for the beginning of the game so I know what that is.
That reason is going to be bullshit, and you know it.
Yeah, but the characters are cool. There's one guy who's a priest, and he's like basically a priest with a shotgun. He's a total badass, and I actually really like that character. There's the woman who owns the bar who's like, I've seen some shit in my day. But yeah, and then there's the pilot who like is the backwoods pilot guy who's like, oh, I'm drunk all the time. Pretty tropey, but kind of fun. I'm interested to see where they go with it. But one of the things I think really got me that stood out, I think was kind of fun, is I was running around and I saw a cell phone tower, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I know what this is. And I started climbing the cell phone tower. A minute later, still climbing the cell phone tower. And I was like, this is a lot of work for me to unlock what's on the map. Still climb the cell phone tower. Get up at the top of the tower. It's like swaying in the wind, and there's a bag, and in the bag was like one blasting cap, but there was nothing else to do up there. I was like,
what a fantastic troll.
Like, did they just fucking troll me? It
Possibly.
was like that. It was like the ladder in Metal Gear. It took forever, and I was like, the fuck? And the guy was just dying behind me, and I was like, you put that in this game on purpose. And he's like, gotcha. So I'd say
fuck you. I ain't pre-ordering your shit anymore. Stop wasting my time, dickhead.
I actually really enjoyed it.
I think that's pretty funny, yeah.
I'm glad you did. If they did that shit to me on a show floor, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go see something else. I got time for this shit. There's way too much stuff to see. I'd ask you, Jesse, like, everything I've seen of it so far looks like more of the same. Like, can you be devil's advocate for that? Okay, so you're not gonna be devil's advocate for that.
I would say the exact same thing about between Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 3. It's the exact same game, except it was in the mountains instead of by the ocean.
In the mountains.
But it played the same way. It had the exact same mechanics. Everything about it was roughly the same. They took the pet mechanic from Far Cry Primal and kind of Far Cry 4, and just now you have a partner, right? The one things they took the flying mechanics and sort of upped the game a little bit. So now you have a plane that actually is like not a fighter plane, but like an old prop plane with a gun on it. So you can actually like engage in fighting guys, but it doesn't make any sense because they're like, yeah, the whatever the religious cult is, they have fighter planes now. I don't know why
they do.
There's literally a scene where you go around and you blow up tankers because that's where they keep their munitions in a plane. And then at the end, evil fighter plane man shows up like the fucking Red Baron, and you have to duel it. And I was like, I don't know why this is happening. It's fun, but it doesn't make any sense. So I don't know.
I'm not excited, I have to admit. It's the same shit. Far Cry 3 was good. Far Cry 4 was good, but more of the same. Primal was kind of bullshit. Like, I don't want another Far Cry game, I'm going to be honest. What I want to know is what you thought of Assassin's Creed, because they have shook the formula up a little bit on that one. So what was that all about?
They changed the actual like gameplay mechanics as well.
Yes,
so all the buttons you're used to, I had to relearn shit when I played, but I played this the longest out of anything I played. From the get-go, the way the demo starts is you start in Memphis, and it's a city that the best I can describe it would be kind of like Egyptian Venice, right? So it's like there are canals and there's water all around it. And there are people like walking through the water and stuff. But at the same time, if you stray too far off from the main areas where the water is, there's just fucking alligators and crocodiles and shit out there trying to kill you. There is this massive, massive city that I took. The guy was like, hey, so here's your main quest. You have to go meet this woman who's like your former lover, but she now works for the ousted queen, and you work for the clergy. And so the two of you don't really have connections anymore, but she's in town with this queen who's come back to sort of reclaim her throne. And you meet her because some crazy shit's going down. I was like, okay. He's like, but there's also other things to explore. And he shouldn't have told me that, because I was like, okay. So I went around and explored the rest of the world, trying to figure out how big this area was, trying to figure out what was sort of like the core loop of the game. And one of the first things I came across was I went to a market and this little boy stole a like an apple or some shit, and I chased him because everyone was like, "Stop that boy!" So I chased him down, and I ended up in an alleyway with two Roman guards or Roman like officers who came at me, and I ended up killing them. And the boy was like, "I knew you could get rid of them." Yeah, those weren't really Romans; they're actually like thugs dressed up like Romans. And they work for this woman who took my sister, and I really need you to help me get her back. And I was like, all right, let's see where this goes. And so I went on essentially what I guess could be, it was kind of like the Witcher investigation system or the Arkham investigation system, where you use the eagle that is part of your arsenal now to sort of fly above everything and scout for stuff. And then you use your like investigatory powers that you have to, in my case, investigate a boat that was burnt down. And
they've done this before, haven't they? Like either Unity or Syndicate had an investigation system of some sort. So I don't really remember.
Yeah, I didn't play Unity, so
yeah, most people didn't for good reason. I think there was something like that in any way. But sorry, continue.
And so you go around and you the basic plot was you were investigating, and then it all came down to this oil seller, and the oil seller was like, I'm not going to tell you anything. Like, screw you. Damn kids came here and took my oil. And so you can either find a way to persuade him, or in my case, I just destroyed all of his oil jars. And he was like, oh, you're a monster. I'll tell you. And so he told me where things were, and I sort of tracked down the sister and killed a bunch of guys. And it was pretty fun. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of little tiny stories in this town that you can do. There was a garrison that I broke into and assassinated everyone. And the objective was kill the commander and loot 2 chests. And so I just did that. I killed the commander, like jumped from the top of a roof and stabbed him in the head, and took the 2 chests and like got out without being detected. There's a bunch of temples and really creepy places, like the Temple of Anubis was there, and like a lot of really cool stuff. The guy comes back over maybe an hour later and is like, did the game crash? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you're still in the first quest. I was like, yeah.
Just checking other stuff out.
Right.
I mean, these things are full of side quests.
He's like, I thought the game crashed. I was really worried. I thought you crashed and like had to start over. I was like, no, I haven't even started the main story.
Okay. I mean, this all sounds like a bunch of side stuff, which obviously has been in a lot of the other games. Like you tell me like mechanically it's different. Like the fighting system looks very different. Can you tell us about that?
The fighting system, you have multiple weapons that you can loot, you can find, you can craft. I started with a sword, and it's a quick sword. Like you have a bow and arrow that you just get, and you can get multiple different bow and arrows. You can change that shit up, and there are multiple arrows or arrowheads that you can equip to that bow. When it comes to the actual weapons, I started with a sword, but ended up with a giant battle hammer by the end, where it was much slower, but it did a shit ton of damage. And then each weapon has its own. If you press the I guess what is that? The 2 thumbs down. I'm trying to think of R3 and whatever the other one's called. If you press those down, you unlock like a special power if you build it up enough. Okay. And with a sword, it unlocks like quick attacks. But with this big ass battle hammer, what it did was it allowed you to slow time and triple your damage. And so I was just running around just brutalizing dudes, and it was really fucking cool.
Does it seem more like a third-person combat game instead of the whole, you're in a dance with one person, counter, block, counter, like more of an action game? Because that's the feeling I'm getting watching this footage, and I'm thinking, this actually, I kind of care about this game now, whereas the previous ones I didn't.
The same, like, having played Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, it is drastically different from those games.
Good.
Like, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so it is definitely more about... the sneaking element is still there, and the damage you do and the kills you do are really awesome, but you're not penalized for not being like, I'm a sneaky ass assassin. Like if you later on I went back to the barracks and just fought guys, and no one gave a shit. I murdered everyone in the barracks and then ran, and even though Roman soldiers on horseback chased me through the town, eventually I just got away, and they were like, we'll find that guy. It didn't Animus ruined or whatever. It didn't do that shit.
Animus isn't even in play anymore, is it? I don't think. Like in the story, I'm not sure. I lost track.
It does have an Animus vibe to it.
Oh, okay.
Where it has like.
I don't even. Does anyone even give a fuck at this point? I lost track of the plot several games ago.
So then I did the main story. The main story bit, I'm not gonna spoil too much, but involved people poisoning a sacred cow. And so you had to figure out why they had done that. And so that led to another investigation. And then it led to a bunch of things where it's like, a priest was behind this. And so you have to, like, the priest of Anubis, and you have to go through this whole thing. It was pretty cool. But one of the things I noticed, and this is what actually blew me away, up until then I was like, it's fun. There's a lot of cool shit here. What really blew me away is at some point I climbed up to the top of one of the temples. I looked out in the distance and I saw the pyramids of Giza. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That looks cool. And then I was like, I wonder how I get to there. You open up the map and it shows Memphis, the little region of Memphis. And when you scroll out, the map is fucking huge. Like, the city I was in was big. The map was way bigger. It definitely reminded me of Black Flag, and that this was a huge world and there was a lot of shit to do.
Cool.
And the region of Giza I saw directly, like, where it was. I was like, oh shit, there really are. Like, it's clearly a condensed, shrunk down version of Egypt, but it's all of Egypt. So you are going up to the, like, Alexandria is up at the top, and you have, like, the Nile over here. Like, it's huge. And I was like, all right, I kind of want to get lost in this game. Like, I thought it was just going to be this big city that I was in, which was huge, admittedly, but there's actually a giant ass world out there. So it kind of had that vibe when I first played Final Fantasy VII back in the day, and I was like, oh, Midgar, that's cool. And then you jump out on the highway and you're like, oh shit, there's an actual world. It had that feel to it. So
this is giving me a vibe of Horizon Zero Witcher Creed. Like, those three things.
You can see the trajectory. It was it takes everything that Witcher and Horizon did and sort of puts it together. It's just I fully expect to, after having seen the Aloy Geralt fan art, I expect Aloy Geralt and this new character fan art, because they're essentially, you're playing roughly the same game. Like, it vibe wise, it feels very much like Horizon Zero Dawn. Even the climbing mechanic feels like it.
I dig it. I'm into it. I mean,
totally fine with it.
I like the Egyptian theme. If the combat system in Assassin's Creed has been bullshit right up until now, so them making that better is a big plus for me. Adding loot is maybe a bit unnecessary, but hey, if you're going to expand the combat system, then having a loot system makes sense. And it's a bit more interesting to me, I guess, than The Witcher, because The Witcher, that world doesn't really draw me in, but ancient Egypt, especially with the mythological elements, definitely does. So I'll give it a shot. It's the more I hear about it, the more I'm liking the look of it. Whereas originally when I looked at it, I was like, oh god, not again, you know?
Yeah, I liked it's the little things that I really, really liked. I liked the fact that they, you know, when everyone talked about the sacred cow, they were like, this is a god. Like, everyone was like, the way they sell this world is people are like worshiping this cow that's just like, and then the different areas of Memphis itself, when you first come in off the river, it's very poor looking, and it's it felt very historical in its like portrayal of this city. It's one of those things where you're like, this makes sense. Like, everything about it was poor and run down, and people were wearing sort of like the rags and stuff you would expect. But the further you went in, the closer you got to temples, suddenly they're like in colors, and they have jewels now. And then the closer you get to like the bigger areas, now they're in like masks and weird. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And they never, when those two groups would connect with each other, like if you were at a bridge crossing or whatever, the guards would push the like rag people out of the way, so the royalty.
The rag people. I'm sure that's not construed as racist anywhere. We'll just sure, they'll be
fine.
I'm
saying, like, it was one of those things that was very
thematic.
Just watch the world.
Living world.
Yeah, feels living.
Sort of just work.
Which Assassin's Creed has got better at lately. Like, Unity got pretty. That's my fucking hat.
I didn't even know. I'm following the footsteps of my style mentor.
I was gonna say, yeah.
When you're this good looking, you've got to
absolutely.
Deja vu is a little strong.
Fucking cosplay.
At the two of you.
So I was gonna say, I bet you don't have my
on Assassin's Creed, which a few people in chat had asked about, and it's relevant.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
I've never played Assassin's Creed. Can you just jump into this one perfectly fine straight up, or is there a story backlog? Or
so thank God this one, at least from what I've played and seen, has nothing to do with the other Assassin's Creeds, except for it establishes these are the very, very first Assassin's Creed characters. So like the assassins as a faction This is the very first time they ever
the
existed.
origin,
So origin
as it
story,
were.
Okay.
which is
Man.
totally new and something that I think a lot of people would appreciate. And they don't have to go through the whole like we're from the future and possibly aliens animus bullshit, which
Throw it
is
all out the window.
terrible.
Throw it out the
Terrible.
window.
It's aliens.
It's bullshit,
Oh,
is what
God,
it is. Complete bullshit. Just ignore it. Yeah, this sounds like the way to go. Like, I haven't played them really in any serious way since 4. You know, Unity was a mess on launch. Syndicate didn't even interest me. This sounds more interesting. And just throwing all that shit out of the window and having a clean slate sounds like a way better idea. Because it went to hell. You know, just if they do several games earlier, then there won't be that problem. You can still keep the canon, you just don't have to fucking ever mention it again, which is fine.
It came off as, and this is what I think is the biggest takeaway for me. If you played and enjoyed either Witcher or Horizon Zero Dawn, this game will you'll be like, oh, I know exactly how to play this game.
Good.
There is very little difference, except for a few minor tweaks here and there. That is sort of like the Assassin's Creed thing. Like they have to include stuff like that. But other than that, core gameplay, you're doing the exact same thing. Like, except it feels, rather than Horizon Zero Dawn, which was like, I'm going to this town. There are a few quests here I can pick up. Okay, let's go do those quests. This one felt more like, oh, I was wandering around town and then shit popped up. It was like, help me, please. And it's like, okay, I'll see what this is about. So it had more of that vibe to it.
Cool.
And that was the more witchery part, I guess.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes when it comes out. It sounds more interesting than I thought, which is great.
Yeah.
Quill, you've been doing a little bit of fracking of toasters as of late, so I've been told.
Just a little. I don't think I've played as much as you. I've only got 2 or 3 hours into Battlestar Galactica Deadlock.
I've played a few more than that, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, because I have been digging it quite a bit, and I'm pretty happy that they didn't fuck it up.
Yeah, well, I've often talked about games before, like, this might be a super niche, limited audience game, but they achieved what they were trying to do. Maybe you don't agree with what they were trying to do, but they really achieved it. I almost feel like it's kind of the reverse here. Like, I feel like this should be a game that's, like, way perfect for so many people, and I feel they didn't just quite get the strategy game kind of element in terms of, like, the UI is not super
UI is a mess. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that the battlefield is a little claustrophobic to me as well. That being said, fantastic space battle game. I loved how intuitive it was to move the ships around. That was really fantastic. So Battlestar Galactica Deadlock is a strategy game with turn-based tactical combat. It's kind of cool because you like plot out your movement and then hit go, and then both sides, their moves happen at the same time. It simulates, what would you say, 5-10 seconds worth of combat time? And then you like make your move again. So you don't know exactly what the opposition's going to do. It's not you go, then I go. So you have to like make assumptions about how things work out. And you've got combat arcs and repair and stuff. A fair deal of different types of ships to play with as well. But I feel, to me, I personally, from my point of view, I got annoyed at a couple of UI things, like not being able to like mass select things. The targeting system is really shit.
Yeah.
And it was like, it annoys me because I want to play the hell out of this because visually it's so good. The music's great. The story and setting is fantastic. And a lot of the combat's really satisfying. And it annoyed me that there were a couple of things that are probably going to stop me from playing it more.
I'll say that having played more of it, you do kind of get over it once you have learned the hotkeys. Like, I was dealing with a fleet that had 6 or 7 squadrons of fucking fighters, and the common sense thing would be to have a button as launch all Vipers or drag and select all your ships. No, this game doesn't let you do anything of the sort. You have to do one fucking ship at a time. But once you learn most things are just bound to Z and X, you just quickly tab through your ships and like ZX, Z, blah, blah, blah. Quick. It's fiddly. It's unnecessarily fucking fiddly. There's no doubt about that. But
even for the fighters, like there's sort of as a hotkey, like 1 is your, say, your Battlestar, and you can hit 1 again to select the first fighter wing of that
fighter
Battlestar,
group, yes.
and then again. But it's like, I want just sort of one generic key for the fighters to cycle through them one at a time. Even if there wasn't a select all, that would be fine.
Yes, there's a bunch of stuff in that UI that could be done way more efficiently, and it does get in the way of enjoying it. Has it stopped me from playing it? No. Like I said, once you get the feel of the hotkeys, it's okay. It's just clunky.
What is the looking at the footage and I watched the trailer because I saw you talking about this and I was like, yo, I'm down for Battlestar. I'm down for space games. I saw the trailer and it was them like setting up a battle, then pressing a button and letting it play out. Like, how does it actually work? Because
All
I
right.
was like, I don't know that I want to do that.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I'm curious about that too.
So there's a really cool thing about it, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. So keep an eye on the stream, and I'll show you exactly how it works, because I have my video up of it right now that it conveniently explains everything. So it is turn-based, so you saw the planning. When you plan your movement out, and then you take your turn, and that turn is about 5 or 10 seconds. Did you play Frozen Synapse when that came out? No? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you did. So
Sorry, I'm watching the video.
Yeah, so you know exactly how it works then. Frozen Synapse is the same thing. You plan your moves out, and then you both take them simultaneously. It's about 5 or 10 seconds of real time, and then you plan again. So that's how the turns work. However, the whole game basically is strings it all together in kind of real time at the end. So I'm going to skip to the replay. This is the best fucking part of the game, by the way.
Yeah, I had never actually hit that replay button, and I watched your video. Like,
it's so good.
Shit.
You way missed out. Okay, so I'm putting it on screen right now. It has a cinematic replay option at the end of the fight, which makes everything go real time. So all those turns, it stitches them all together. You remember, Lyle, how Superhot did it?
Cool.
This, and it looks great. It used the same camera angles that the TV show did, the shaky cam, the sound effects are great, the music's killer, and you get to watch the whole fight play out in real time, and it's incredible. It feels like Battlestar, it looks like Battlestar. For some reason, some people criticized it graphically and said, oh, it's not very good graphically. Are you kidding me? It's great, like, high quality textures, excellently accurate models, each individual turret is individually fucking modeled. It looks great, in my opinion. And it looks like Battlestar, and it sounds like Battlestar.
What is the plot of this game?
It's the first Cylon War, so the plot is canon. So this all happens before the TV show. Galactica disappears. There's a reason for that. Everything that happens in this, they got the full permission to write a canon story. So this is the story of the first war they had with the Cylons. Just before, like, the armistice and then the second
when they're
war.
all still metal toasters.
Yes. Very much the old style. The Raiders look old school. The base stars are circular and fat, you know, like the old 70s show Battlestar. And you're using old Battlestars and old frigate designs and things like that, and old Vipers. It's really cool. And they've even incorporated elements from the show like firewall hacking. You know, they try and hack the firewalls of your ships, and if they break them, they could shut down parts of the ship. It's not quite as extreme as in the main show, because while everything was, you know, I don't want to ruin the plot. If you haven't seen Battlestar, the show, go fucking watch it. It's amazing. The ending's a bit but the first 3 seasons at least are amazing. But yeah, it's old school Cylons versus humans, and there's a cool element of asymmetry to it. And I like
to reroute power to different systems.
Yeah, you can do that shit.
To repair them.
Yeah, it's good like that. It is relatively easy to play for a war game because everything's very visual. So it literally is just fleet maneuvers. Like, move your thing forward, tell it how far to turn. Do you want to yaw the ship? If you yaw the ship to the side, it's going to affect its accuracy, all that kind of thing. But otherwise, it's tall ships in space, but in full 3 dimensions. You can go up and down as well. And ships have, like, rear, bottom armor and top armor, stuff like that. So it's not on a flat plane.
All the weapons on the ships also have like their own individual firing arcs. So some will only right and left for broadside, some do forward. The Battlestar will have a top and bottom turret, and the different guns have different accuracy and fire rates. So some are really good, probably for defending against fighters and incoming missile fire, and others are like, this is what you want to hit capital ships with.
Oh god, man, blowing up missiles with flak is so satisfying. You put up a giant field of flak and everything fucking dies in it. It's great. If you're not big into war games, but you want something that's relatively easy to get into and you really like Battlestar, this is a great game for that. If you're not into Battlestar as a series, it's harder to recommend, but as a fairly accessible fleet battle game, of which quite a few of them are not, this is a good one to go in for. And the story is good. There's a lot of politics in the story. Like, basically, the 12 colonies are bickering through most of it. Like, you even have an issue of one colony doesn't accept the authority of the colonial fleet, so if you go to their space, they're like, this is a violation of our space, we'll actually fight you, and all sorts of shit like that. And there's this, like, light strategy layer on top of it that's a little bit like XCOM, and, like, the worldview in XCOM, just a bit simpler. So, I think it's good. I enjoyed it a lot, and like I said, the music is so good. It's not Bear McCreary who did it. There's a guy called Ash Gibson Grieg in Australia did it, and it sounds just like Battlestar's music. It's totally thematic. The drums and the pipes and the Celtic themes kicks ass. It's a really, really good licensed game. I've enjoyed it a lot. As I said, the UI is just a bit shitty. They could do things to make that better and less clunky. Love it.
Jesse and I did all of chapter 1 of Life is Strange Before the Storm.
All right. What did you think of that one?
I think that we had fun with it.
That doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement.
Well, you know, it's not. It happens before Life is Strange, and Life is Strange is very supernatural heavy, right? Because like she can control time, and so that's a huge mechanic for the whole game. So even though everything is about like the drama that's happening interpersonally, the way that you fix it and figure out how to like maneuver it is all time travel based, right?
So that's not in this game in any way?
No, because it happens before the time travel even existed.
That was the best part. That was the only reason I'm interested in it. I don't care now.
Yeah, so when we were going into this, we were like, I wonder how, like whether or not this is going to still be interesting to play without that element to it, when it's just entirely hinging on like characters and how they feel about each other, and like, you know, you're specifically following Chloe, who's already a character that's like super aggro. So like seeing how she turns into an even more aggressive kind of bitter person throughout these 3 chapters is going to be interesting. But yeah, we had fun with it. And I think that if you play it without having played Life is Strange, you wouldn't enjoy it as much, because one of the things that keeps us going is being like, holy shit, it's that guy. Holy shit, it's that guy. Right? Like we know a lot of the characters that show up.
Also, Dodger's a genius. A genius. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a moment where she called something. I was like, blew my damn mind. So, yeah, the one mechanic they do have is, because Chloe is such a rambunctious youth, she can challenge authority and fight people, and so you get sort of like
there's like an argument mechanic, which is kind of awesome. It's really fun.
We won all but one, unfortunately. I was like, because some people I guess are just much better arguing than you, but it's one of those things where they're on one side and you're on the other, and then when you win each little individual argument, it goes towards the center, and whoever wins. And so that was kind of fun. But yeah, I can't say there's not something supernatural, because there is something weird. Like there's something genuinely strange happening.
Yeah.
But you can't say it's not supernatural.
But I think that it's been confirmed that there isn't supposed to be, or maybe they've just said there's no time travel. Maybe that's all that they've confirmed.
Yeah,
but we were,
but like,
no spoilers at all, because definitely go and watch them as they go up on Jesse's channel. But at the end, we were like, what the fuck is going on here?
Something's up right now.
Yeah.
I could not care less about it. Remove it. Like, that time travel mechanic was the reason I cared about that game. Not having it, I don't care anywhere near enough.
Did you ever play Life is Strange?
Yeah, I played the first couple of chapters of it, and I enjoyed what I played of it, and mostly because the time travel mechanic is great. I'm a real stickler for fixing things, and being able to travel back and screw with something and see how cause and effect works is a big deal for me, and that was what kept me going through. Otherwise, you know, it's a game that's harder to relate to because it's about teenage girl drama in fucking Oregon, right? Yeah, which, like, that's about as far away from anything I've experienced as I ever could, and not something I really am interested in. But with the time travel aspect, it was good.
There are definitely a few times in this playthrough and the previous one where I've looked at Dodger and been like, is this really what...
Is this what Oregon's like?
Yeah.
Is this what being a teen girl is? Is this all this... Like, oh, yeah. There's been moments where I've been like, you know better than I don't know how to answer.
Yeah. No, I don't want anything to do with that then. But yeah, I mean, I guess if what people wanted was more establishment of the characters in Life is Strange via a prequel, then I guess it seems to achieve that.
Does a good job at that.
If they, because the end of Life is Strange is so like such a huge deviation one way or the other, they would have to, if they were going to make a game that came after, they would have to do the thing where it was like, well, this is like the canon ending, like this is the ending that we consider to be true, and I think that would kind of. That would feel weird. So
God, wouldn't it be awesome if they fucking didn't? And you went with both.
They're both true because of fucking quantum theory.
Alternate timelines. That would be an amazing way to start a game. Like, they wouldn't do it because it would literally be half the game you wouldn't get to see the first time around. But grow some balls and do it. I think it'll be great. I'd love that. I'd love it.
Yeah. But yeah, we enjoyed it. We had fun playing
Cool.
it. It took us and y'all know Jesse, with Jesse and I playing it together and looking at literally everything, and not just looking at everything.
It paid off.
Like every single thing. If we knew we needed to pick something up, he would take the time to look at it first before he picked it up. So we did literally everything that we could do.
There's story. She talks about it, and it's important to the story.
It's true. Sometimes it adds a little discussion sidelines. So, next time you talk to a person, you have a new thing to talk about. It's important. But it took us a little over 4 hours to do chapter 1.
There was a moment I missed one object, and it
you would not let it go.
I could not let it go. I was like, I was by myself. I would have gone back and redone that. Yeah. So, oh well. I love games like that. I don't know why. I just like the games where you can explore everything and it doesn't punish you for being like nosy. I want to know what this is about. I want to experience this world. I think it helps.
Honestly, I still have troubles with that when I'm playing those types of games, because part of me, so like when I was originally doing my playthrough of Life is Strange, I wouldn't go on anybody's computers. You know how every computer that you can interact with, you can like use, right? Yeah. I wouldn't go on anyone's computers because I was so terrified if I used their computer, they would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And it would like start a big whole thing, which is not the case at all. Like you get so much more information if you just look at every single computer in that game. And I didn't, because I was so stressed out about the potential of looking at somebody's computer and then being like, "What the fuck? That's not yours." But that doesn't happen in Life is Strange. So yeah, it's nice playing it with Jesse, because Jesse doesn't give a fuck. He's like, "I'm gonna look at this regardless."
Also, you channeled your inner Chloe. There's a lot of moments where you're like, "Fuck it, let's do it." I'm like, okay.
It's true. I got you on my side, though. I got you on my side. Originally, you were like, I mean, we don't want to be too mean. And I'm like, we're Chloe. Of course we want to be mean. What do you mean?
Yeah. So, yeah. And again,
it was fun.
Listening to an actual person who was at one time a teenage girl pays off, turns out. So,
fair enough.
I had a net zero amount of drama in my life. I was a teenage girl, but still, yeah. I like to think I'm helpful.
Oh, I want to talk about something really quick about a game that I played that everyone in the world loves except for me, apparently.
Okay.
So I played Rock of Ages 2.
Okay.
All right. Yes, and that is a great game. Let's hear how wrong you are.
I love the comedy. I think the way they tell the story, visuals are amazing and awesome and hilarious. I was in. Boy, do I hate the actual gameplay itself. I don't know why. I just can't get into it. I was bored playing the gameplay. I don't know. I guess it's a personal thing. Like I played through the first 4 or 5 levels. I went around and got like additional things. I made cow traps and I thought that was pretty funny. But like at the end of the day, I was like, I'm just rolling a rock into a wall, like avoiding traps. And I was like, I guess that's cool. But like I don't know. It didn't get me. Everything else about it was like super funny. The historical bits cracked me the fuck up. I would easily watch a Let's Play of someone going through that stuff. I was down for that. It was great. The little tutorial bit at the beginning and him teaching a class and be like, "Oh no." I loved it. I love the Monty Python-esque humor. I think it was great. Could not handle the actual gameplay. Maybe that's just me. Just a me thing, I guess.
I love that. All of chat is like TB's typing out his roast right
Just
now.
how wrong you are. I mean, honestly, like the gameplay, it's Super Monkey Ball. You know, it's bowling for all intents and purposes. That's what. And if you're not into that, then you're not into that. There's nothing wrong with you not being into that.
Yeah, I just couldn't. Like everything else about it, I loved. I just couldn't. The actual gameplay, I was like, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of bored. I wanted to do it for Fan Friday because everyone was like, "Play this game, dude. You're gonna love it." I might have spent 2 hours.
When did it come out?
Last week, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I really wanted to play it, but I just couldn't like muster up the like. I'm having so much fun. I was kind of like,
yeah.
But everything else, like, it is funny. It's a funny game. There's a lot to it that I really enjoy, but I just can't like. I don't know. I guess.
Gameplay.
Yeah, I don't
Shame.
know. It just wasn't for me.
Well, that's a shame. At least you can go watch all the cutscenes on YouTube. They're funny.
That's my plan.
Definitely worth it.
That's funny as shit.
Yeah. Cool. Did you have any?
I was gonna say I also played a game where I wasn't sure whether or not I had fun.
Okay. All right then. I'm trying to decide. Do I let Quill speak, who has been silent maybe for the last 30 minutes because we've been playing games he hasn't been playing, or do I let you speak? It's like
no, it's fine. Mine isn't important. It was called Songbringer, and it was just okay. But it was made by one dude, and it progressively got better, I think. But I still wasn't sure whether or not I had fun. There we go. Next.
Okay,
Quill,
there you go.
what have
Nicely
been
done.
playing?
Very concise. Love it. Quill, is there anything else that you played that we didn't talk about when it comes to we played XCOM, we played Battlestar. What else have you been messing about with?
Well, I mean, there's two things I could do. I could talk about my Gamescom trip. I played a bunch of shit there. Pretty short. But my current favorite Let's Play that I'm doing now is like my favorite mod currently ever, Kaiserreich mod for Hearts of Iron 4. Hearts of Iron 4 is this grand strategy game by Paradox.
Yes, indeed.
And Kaiserreich is this mod that's been developed for years. It's got a team of like 80 people on it. And it's an alt history of what if Germany had won World War One. It's a completely rewritten world, massively event driven. And so like in that alt history, there was like a trade unit syndicate that took over Great Britain and France, so the royal family fled to Canada. So I'm playing like this like monarchist Canada trying to like retake Great Britain. Really, really, really fun mod. If you guys have Hearts of Iron 4, definitely check it out.
That is, I assume the mod does not make the game more accessible, because this is one of the easier Hearts of Iron games, isn't it? But it's still pretty challenging to get into.
Yeah, Hoi 4 is definitely more accessible than the previous ones. I'm not going to say that it's necessarily simpler or dumbed down, other than the fact that the AI needs some loving. The mod doesn't add so much more complexity, but it's very sort of event and story driven. You're going to get a lot of pop-ups like making you make these choices, and it might not always be obvious what goes on there. It plays like a little more like almost a choose your own adventure kind of story along the way, which is kind of interesting. So you can dramatically change it. Again, what happens early on in the game, which is relevant for my Canadian one, is the U.S. never pulls out of the Great Depression. So there's a second civil war that breaks out where you've got like the Northeast, where you've got all the industrial base breaks out into like syndicalist factions, right? Sort of like Union Socialist, the South breaks away again, but it's a very different kind of South. The Pacific states break away. There's a 4-way civil war that goes on. And as Canada, you can choose how you're going to get involved in this and like roll in and just, pick sides and influence things. And what I like about it, because Hoi 4 is a great game, but World War II is sort of more or less going to go one way. Germany's going to start some shit. Russia's going to be a big ass power, and then some sort of allied group's going to come together. And it's sort of a pre-written script. But Kaiserreich, in addition to having a really rich, interesting story, sets up a world where things can go in a lot of different ways. There's a lot more kind of factions vying for power, and there's a lot more possibility for smaller wars. So there's just sort of a lot more action, a lot more variety, rather than, well, by the time 1939 rolls around, everyone's going to be slugging out in one giant world war. So great fun.
It does sound like I would really love to get into a game like this. It's just getting past that fucking cliff face of a learning curve, I love the idea of alt history. I'm sure Jesse would dig the hell out of this, as a history teacher, but that's a lot of menus. That's a lot of UI stuff.
Too much, man.
That's demanding. That's on the demanding scale, end of wargaming and grand strategy stuff. At some point, I would love to get into it at some point.
Yeah, it's very good, but it is, and this is one of the few Paradox games that's actually got a tutorial in it.
Oh, thank God.
Not bad.
Well, apparently that doesn't help if we, as we're going to find out later, we're talking about the Cuphead demo that was put out. But never mind, we'll get onto that after the break. Oh, that's going to be fun. But it does have a tutorial.
It looks cool. It just definitely seems like it's menu heavy. Like, I don't know that my brain could handle it, but the concept seems awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a fair bit. You have to manage your production lines so that because you're producing like individual guns and individual tanks, and then you're designing your division. You're saying my division's going to have 7 brigades of infantry, 2 brigades of artillery. Maybe I'll throw in a heavy tank in there for some support. I'm going to attach some extra engineer companies to it. Now I've designed my division. Now I've got to train my division.
Oh my God.
Wait till it's trained. Get it out into the field. I line it into an army. Then the army gets assigned to a front line, and then you draw out a battle plan which then they start like planning. You get planning bonuses, and then you hit go, and they march forward. You can still individually move things around like an RTS. So I'm not trying to sell like the game as like the world's most successful one. I gotta say, EU4, European Universalis, is still my favorite of the Paradox games. But I really want to give a shout out to these people because they've made an amazing mod, and I have no doubt they're going to go very far in game.
Hope so.
I want to call them out.
Yeah, some of these guys do end up very much getting jobs doing game development. All that things, we heard about Darth Mod for the Total War series. The guy ended up making 2 Civil War games, Ultimate General Gettysburg and Ultimate General whatever the hell the other one was, which are both pretty good, actually, and very accessible for Civil War games, which you would not necessarily expect them to be. They just came out on iOS, and it's literally just you drag and drop the divisions, essentially, to move, and maneuvers are really easy. Is that a poster of Hearts of Iron? What is that? Do you have a Hearts of Iron poster?
No, I have a Kaiserreich poster, 3 of
There's
them.
There's a poster for a mod?
Yeah, they have propaganda posters.
That's pretty sick.
The British Canadian one.
That's kind of great. I have to admit. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to... There's a nice topic we can get our teeth into that we're all sort of very experienced in and can hopefully contribute to, and that is the idea of how competent a game reviewer, YouTuber, streamer, Let's Player has to be at a game to basically be acceptable at their job. And this is all sprung off the back of a VentureBeat video, which may very well be the worst play of a video game I have ever seen of the tutorial area of Cuphead.
Oh my God, the first time I saw that, I was like...
Yeah, we're going to get in on that. Who better to get in on that? We are more than capable of getting in on that subject. So, after the break, that'll be coming, and a bunch of other stuff on the games news front, one would imagine. You are watching the Corruptional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast. Here's where the fun begins. Oh my... What do we even call this topic?
Chat, if you have not seen this video, you're
about to
have to watch it. It's incredible.
Right.
I say that as a person who is garbage at video games. Like, it is an incredible video to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand I don't do controllers and thumbsticks and shit like that, and I would probably be about as bad. But that's also why I don't think you would. Games.
I really don't believe you would.
It's obvious in that video that they don't understand what to do.
They're not reading on the screen.
That's the difference. Is that like they're not understanding what they're supposed to do, and you're just like.
Okay, well let's set the scene before we dig in, so that people know what we're even talking about, because some will not.
It's the jump dash.
Right. It's not even just that. But okay. So, VentureBeat has a games website called GamesBeat, which one would presumably make the... Hang on a minute, I have to re-angle this video because it's not actually showing the bottom of the screen. So let me move it a little bit. I'm just gonna wangle it around a bit so that it actually fits.
Oh yeah, that looks right.
yeah, that's not really gonna help our little adventure, is it? No. So I'm going to do my best to fit as much of this into the screen as possible, bearing in mind our window is like the wrong aspect ratio for this. So you're gonna have to forgive me a little bit on it. I apologize, folks. Just give me a second. I think we can probably crop off the top. That will probably be fine, as long as we sort of show the bottom. There we go. That should do the trick. Let's put that in there. That should work. There we go. All right, this should work better. Okay, we'll push that live. Great. Okay, so I've resized it. Let's try it again. Okay, so this is from a VentureBeat GamesBeat video. GamesBeat presumably has games journalists working for it. So this is a recording of them trying to play Cuphead. This is the tutorial for Cuphead. So, as you can see from this, the first thing it teaches you to do is jump. He was able to obviously do that. And then you have dash. So, looking at this sort of out the bat, you know, it's like, yep, you jump on that and then do a dash in the air, since it says quick evade in the air, to air dash over that obstacle. Would be what I think a lot of us would probably assume that you had to do.
If you've ever played a platformer ever.
Of any description, I think. It's not, you know, this is not an unusual genre. This is not a genre that's new. He apparently doesn't seem to have figured that out. This keeps going, by the way, and we will leave it on. And
okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is embarrassing, and I don't know why anyone would ever upload this.
I don't know.
Yeah, cut it down, right? Like, even
take it off
being
the
a reason
internet
for anyone to upload any of this. I have.
He just figured the dash out right there. You see that? He just figured the dash out. So very clearly, right now he's trying the dash. So he did get it eventually.
Like, there have been times I've been at. So this is the perfect example.
There you go. You just got through.
Like, I have sympathy for this. Like,
do you?
I do. At PAX, this last PAX, at this last PAX, I somewhere I have recorded footage of the new Dishonored DLC.
Okay.
But they gave you either a controller or a keyboard and mouse, and I was like, oh well, I'll do keyboard and mouse because that's what I know.
Yeah.
But the keyboard and mouse keys are bound to what I guess the defaults are in the game, because I do not use those. I could not tell you how to play this game without the normal key bindings I have. And because the key binding screen was set to the console version, there was no information there. Right. I couldn't rebind. I couldn't even see what the keys were to do things. But because it was the DLC, the assumption was, well, you know what you're doing. So for me, E is interact, but in this game it was F. I couldn't figure out what the fuck the crouch button was. I was pressing control and everything. I couldn't figure it out. Like, that is filmed footage that I have that will never see the light of day.
Well, like, yeah, you just don't publish it because you know it was a mess.
Yeah, like, I feel bad for the person who played this because I don't know the actual scenario of what's happening. And there's a lot of times that I'll be real here. I'll play a game and people in chat or people in the comments will be like, you fucking dumb shit. It's right on the screen. You're so fucking dumb. You're such a dumb piece of garbage. And I might not have noticed it for some reason. Now, this is an obvious example where it's right on the screen.
Well, I was going to say, it's written in big text. You don't have that excuse this time, certainly.
Right. But, like, with that said, I sympathize. Like, I don't necessarily feel like this person should have been reviewing this game. But with all that said, I sympathize because I've been in a room with record going and been like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I feel bad because I'm wasting everyone's time here, especially my own, because this will never see the light of day.
I think there's something to be said about, there is a difference between being a general games player, trying out different things, different genres, different things like that. You know, primarily as I play games and I kind of entertain people and I do whatever. There's an inherent difference between I've been sent to do that or I've been sent to review this.
I was literally going to say that.
Yeah.
My purpose was to show this video, was to show this game to the audience, and you kind of can't do that if you're this bad. So we're sort of in the gameplay, you know. The first thing that people were pissed off was always the tutorial, but he eventually got it. It took him longer than you would have thought, but he got it. Obviously, he's dying quite a bit in the first level, which doesn't look particularly challenging, and then, of course, you know, we have to deal with the platforming mechanics and all that kind of thing, which he's sort of seeming to get the grasp of. I wouldn't certainly call this the worst thing of all time, because I've seen Polygon try to play Doom, which, as far as I'm concerned, is an awful lot worse than this. At least he's killing something in this game.
Yeah, like in the footage,
I don't know why he keeps jumping on things.
Dodge out of the way of project, like he ducks.
He misses more of the dodges than he manages to accomplish, I think. But
there's some connection with what's going on. I really would love to know the backstory of who played this, because this is...
Well, we know who played it. His name's Dean Takahashi. He works for GamesBeat.
This is one of those things where you can miss out on platforming if you were a JRPG player back in the day, or if you only played PC games. Like, I don't know.
I don't like platformers, and I wouldn't have these problems.
I'm just trying to say that, like, I don't know. This is is this guy reviewing the game or just playing?
I hope not, but that's not, to me, that's not an excuse, because if you've gone to a show to produce footage on a game, then that footage has to be of some basic level of competence. If not, you do what you do, Jesse, which is you scrap it. You don't, put it up.
I wouldn't blame this dude. I blame GameBeat for sending this person to play this game.
I mean, it was probably the only person that they have, but still.
And if that's the case, then that's the problem. That's a bigger problem than this one person.
No, I disagree. And the reason I disagree is that I'm not like a platformer guy at all. I'm bad at them, I know that. But would I play it as badly as this? No, not a chance. And there's just like, especially when you play a lot of games, if you're a games reviewer or a games critic in particular, or a Let's Player, you generally get a decent amount of genre experience of a lot of different games. You don't get super good at any of them. This is what some, the more unreasonable viewers think. Where it's like, oh, God, you're garbage because you're not like a super expert at this. Well, the reason I'm not a super expert is because I play like 20 new games a week, and I don't have the time to become an expert at any of them. You've played 1,000 hours this one game. That's why you're better at it than I am. But there was no way, even as someone that doesn't like platformers, that I will be playing this badly. And I don't believe I ever have in a platformer, and you can go and check my channel for evidence of that. You just acquire this basic, because it's a platformer, everyone's played platformers, everybody. I don't think it's almost impossible to have missed out on platformers of some description. And to this degree, like, to me, this just says, like, you're not qualified for your job. I made this comment on Twitter, and I kind of stand by it, is like, I wouldn't read a car review or even a car preview, and this is a preview from someone who didn't have a driver's license. And this is the equivalent of that. I mean, this is so far below the level of basic competence required to display this game in any meaningful way. The footage, to me, is actively harmful to the presentation of the game. That's not okay, right? Do you disagree?
Man, I it's worrisome to me that, like, this clearly is not great footage. It's embarrassing. Yes. I don't know why anyone would put this out there to begin with. There's been plenty of things where I've been like, as a person with very little shame, even I have some where I'm like, oh fuck, there's no way this is making it out there. And I understand that maybe this was like, well, this is the only footage we have of the game, and maybe it was one of those things where
that's worse than no footage, though. That's worse than no footage, in my opinion.
I understand.
You have a responsibility. Sorry, Dodge, go ahead.
I'm trying to think of how to say this, but like, if you are playing a game and you're trying to showcase it, right? You're trying to show people what the game is like, and you know that what you've played is showing the game off badly, not because the game is bad, but because you aren't playing it well.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of your responsibility to do some editing or to replay it from the beginning, maybe like just do it all over again. Like, yes, it's not a first impressions then anymore, but like, you'll at least be showing the game correctly, right? It's like when people do a video where they're like, I'm going to show you the first 15 minutes of this game.
And I used to do that. I used to do a lot of that,
And they get stuck at something really simple for 15 minutes and are like, well, that's the first 15 minutes.
And it's not. No, it isn't. Not. Yeah. And even when I used to do the blind first impressions, one, they were way better than this. But secondly, if I ended up getting stuck like that, I'd redo the fucking video. Like, I know at a convention you don't have the opportunity to do that, but if it was that shitty and I didn't have the opportunity to redo it, I would never release it at all.
I just do think that there's a difference between I'm playing this game just like for fun, and if you want to watch it, then cool. And my intention is to make a video that shows you what the game is like. And in the end, your video is a huge detriment to what the game is like, right? Yeah. It has to do with intention and what you're pitching the video as.
Yeah, and as it turns out, we know what his intention is because there was an accompanying article. This is where things start to you start to lose the benefit of the doubt here. So he is a little bit self-deprecating, but the way that he's presented it, for instance, says there are a variety of ways to die unexpectedly. I died by jumping into a bush instead of jumping to a cliff. I think you'll agree that at the very end of the video, that was very unfair. Right, well, I'm going to go to the end of the video and see if we really believe that was very unfair. I don't believe you died in a wide variety of unexpected ways. I think it was abundantly clear that something was an enemy and was going to hurt you. Here's an example of apparently his very unfair, unexpected ways. So he goes down the log here. There we go, down the log. Yep, everything's fine. Everything's so far good. He gets hit by the slowest moving projectile in the universe. Okay, we get that. He falls off the side, gets hit by the thorns. Thankfully, that's not an insta-kill. He eventually kills this plant. And then he goes to the edge. You can see the platform here very clearly. Yep, looks good, great. And then just walks off and dies. That's not unfair. It says, I didn't realize for quite a long time that you don't accomplish anything by jumping on top of an enemy like in the Mario games. It took you quite a while to realize that, did it? Because I think you would have realized that within 1 or 2 hits. Why did you keep doing it? I
know I shouldn't, but I still sympathize with this guy.
I understand where you're coming from on that, Jesse, because it's obvious that like this guy. Sorry, you finish your thought.
No. I go for it. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
All I was gonna say is, like, as a person who sometimes finds myself in a position where I just lack basic problem solving for some reason, right? Like I just get stuck on something and I'm like, why the fuck? Why can't I figure this out? And like this video is just like a compacted version of multiple moments where a person is like struggling with basic problem solving, right? And you're just like, oh God, what's happening?
And the issue is that through the whole video, he isn't learning from his mistakes at all.
I feel like there's 3 parts to it. There's one, everyone has brain farts, and that's just going to be the reality of it. That doesn't mean you necessarily post that video. The other thing is some videos you put up for more entertaining or different types of things, and it's about the personality and response. That's another thing. But this guy, I did check. He's the lead writer of a gaming journalist thing. He says he's been in the industry doing game journalism things for 18 years.
I don't understand how it's possible, but okay.
And that becomes the core of your argument, TV.
Well,
he's been around that long. You should have got a basic level of competence in pretty much every genre. Like you put me in and playing Madden, a game which I have almost no experience with, I'm fairly confident I could play it to a very, very, very basic level. I would suck, but I wouldn't be doing the equivalent of what he's doing here, which is constantly making the same mistakes over and over and over again, which is what is happening here.
Like, I guess the gameplay for me is not my concern with this. Like, it's a shame that exists and people can watch it, and it should never have been published.
No,
but
it should not.
The parts that to me that I'm like, okay, this is the worrisome stuff. Because I do feel bad for anyone who like plays through shit that they don't get. But what worries me, the shit that I'm like, okay, well, here's the problems I have, is things like at the very bottom of the article, updated 10 a.m. September 5th, the story claimed that Cuphead developers originally developed Super Meat Boy. This is not correct, and Game Beats apologizes for the error. Like that
basic fact finding. Yeah, like stuff that could have been Googled in 5 seconds. Yeah, I just want to point out, by the way, that it took them a week and a half to update that article. The article was first put out on August the 24th. So it's lacking even basic fact finding.
Then the next thing that annoys me, that I dislike immensely, that is what angers me, is when you click Dean Takahashi's name on the article, it takes you to all the articles he's ever written. Dude is putting out 4 to 7 articles a day. That's where the quality control comes in. If your job is to keep pumping out content, then you're not going to spend the time to make sure your stuff is of quality, which means you're going to have shit like a week later catching the fact that you said that Super Meat Boy devs made Cuphead. Like that. And so those are issues I have, which explains to me at least what I feel is why they would upload this in the first place. Because like, fuck it, we got to post something. So let's do it.
The guy seems to believe that showing the game this way is actually a good thing. He says, I think it shows quite well why Cuphead is fun and why making hard games that depend on skill is like a lost art. No, it doesn't show anything like that. Like, this looks like a reasonably challenging platformer that you are playing abysmally badly, and it's nowhere near as challenging as you make it out to be. If they had titled this video,
wow, I'm fucking bad at Cuphead. Great.
Even then.
This says Dean's shameful 26 minutes of gameplay.
Obviously whoever uploaded the video kind of understands that, but to accompany it with an article and then say the gameplay you posted actually demonstrates the game well, to me that's where I start to call utter bullshit on what you just said.
Well, that's saving face. That is them realizing they have a bunch of shitty footage.
Yeah, because they can't fucking apologize for something. Can someone explain to me why we have lost the ability to say fucking sorry on the internet? What happened? Why is it? There was a great video. Adam Ruins Everything. Adam Ruins Everything just put out a great video about mistakes he made during his show. And it was like, well, you're supposed to be defensive about it. It's like, no, I'm not defensive about it because people make mistakes and we apologize for that. And here's why we made them and we're going to try and do better.
I feel like we're all, if we're in the public eye a lot, we're in this position where we get called out for shit all the time. And you have to sort of decide like which things are things that I should actually apologize for.
Sure.
And
Yes.
for some people, in order to not only protect like their pride, but also to feel like they can continue doing the stuff that they want to do, they feel like apologizing is taking a step backward.
And I think they're wrong. And yes, there is plenty of criticism, or as I like to call it, shitticism, which is just bad faith insults hidden behind the veil of, my criticism, my free speech. Fuck that shit. It's bad criticism.
Can you use that voice all the time?
I mean, I could try.
That's
probably,
my favorite TotalBiscuit voice that has ever happened.
I don't even know if I could do it again, honestly. My free speech, my criticism. My criticism is very valuable, and you should pay attention to the criticism. You can't take criticism. You know, TotalBiscuit, you can't take the criticism. And that is why you are a bad person, and why you deserve to die. Something like that. I'm not sure. I was kind of going Middle Eastern towards the end there, but the Venture Beat goes on to further justify this, and this is fucking insulting. This is where it gets even worse, because they decided, and this is from Dean itself. I've watched the comments on this thread to see how mean they would be. I think it's useful to show my gameplay experience. I did not intentionally play poorly to troll anyone, but it serves as an interesting social experiment. No, it does not. Yes, I'm just trying to start a conversation. You were just wrong in every possible way. But what about the conversation that I started by being completely wrong forever? No, fuck you. Anyway, I walk into the game cold. This is the play that results. The video shows it's a notch more difficult than a typical Mario game. Really? I don't think it does, actually, but okay.
You can't touch enemies, TB.
Oh, but you can't
touch enemies. It's a notch more difficult than Mario. You can't touch the enemies.
Oh, you can't jump on them. You already have a very effective firearm weapon. Oh, and you have a dash to avoid it. Oh, wow, so hard. Anyway, in fact, if you are expecting Mario, as the story says, you're going to be thrown off. Nobody was expecting Mario, but okay. It shows that the developers are going to leave a lot of people who are worse than me behind. I don't believe there are many people worse than you, mate. I don't believe they're going to be leaving all that many people behind. And he goes on and on about this, saying that it's excluding people. They're going to be making a game that appeals to hardcore fans. Oh, fuck that. And he's on about all this elitist attitudes and bullshit. No.
Look, I'm not going to offend him on this shit, because this is obviously I'm trying to make something out of my own fuck up. Like that.
Yeah, and when he's just should have fucking said sorry. That would have just, or never put the video up. Anyway, yeah.
Truthfully, the article should have been the title it has now, followed by gameplay footage, followed by maybe one sentence that'd be like, boy, was I bad at this game, period. And that's it. That's all I need. With that said, God, the game, having actually played it many, many, many times, it's not easy.
I know it's not easy.
What he's doing is supposed to be the easy part of the game. The boss fights are where the challenge is, right? That's where the hard stuff comes from. The stuff he's doing is so... I can understand the idea of playing boss fights and getting stomped on by like a fucking carrot boss a bunch of times.
Sure,
like this
because it's
very
a boss.
Difficult.
It's supposed to be.
That. But what this is not that.
This is the tutorial level.
Yeah, the information, like the way he's trying to spin it, is bullshit, and that I have an issue with. Bad gameplay or being a person who doesn't understand the game or just not clicking or just being shitty at video games, fine. But at least admit you were shit and don't try to be like, what I've done is bring the public eye and attention onto something I think a lot of gamers are concerned about. Like, fuck you. No, that's not at all. You're trying to save face now, or even worse, keep people coming back to your website to post more and more and more hate on it.
Yeah.
Which, again...
That's the only reason they put the video up. Let's be honest, because it's for fucking attention for a website no one cares about. Like, he goes on, it's like, are we that intolerant of people who are not gamers? You're a games journalist! You've been one for 18 years! Should I have played the scene over and over again until I was good at it, then turn the recording on? Yes! Yes! You should have done that! Of course! And it shouldn't have taken you 28 minutes to get to that level of competence! You're just terrible at your job!
Like, there's a difference between a Let's Player and a reviewer. If you're a reviewer, play the fucking game. If you're a Let's Play, you just play like,
even then, it doesn't matter. Show me one Let's Player that's that bad. Show me one. You won't find one.
Let's Players can't afford to be that bad. If you're that bad, then you for years to come, you'll have people using the same footage, Justine, over and over again, for how you can't fucking figure out a goddamn puzzle. I swear to God, people do not let you forget when you suck. The one time you're garbage, that sticks with you forever if you're a Let's Play. That's just reality. So,
or you just do my tactic and you're garbage almost all the time, and occasionally you're pretty good at something.
Are you fucking kidding me? You've beaten shit like Meat Boy, you beat fucking Genocide Run, Undertale, you beat fucking Volgar the Viking, you have pretty much beaten Hollow Knight, you play some of the hardest shit I've ever seen. You play harder games than anybody else here, other than maybe Quill that plays fucking Hearts of Iron. Don't bullshit me about you being a bad gamer. Compared to fucking who? You're not.
TV just gave me so many compliments.
That's all you get.
In my heart forever.
That's all you're getting. I'll kill myself if I have to make any more of those. But there's no way. Like, compared to that, no. There is this basic level of confidence, and here's the thing. We are not expecting every gamer to be great at everything, nor are we indulging those that get really upset when someone who's new to a game doesn't somehow aggressively know how to do the things that an expert does 1,000 hours in. It's not the same. There is a huge motherfucking no man's land between that and that. That in this area is what we like to call basic competence. And this is what you should have if your job is to have it, which it is if you are a games journalist. That is the fucking reality of it. And if you don't have it, you need a different job. You need to find a different career, because if you didn't know how to flip a burger, I wouldn't hire you at McDonald's. If after 50 attempts you still couldn't figure out how to flip the burger without dropping on the floor, I would fire you from McDonald's. You suck. You're just horribly bad.
Okay, I remember how I said I am open to apologizing to everyone. I defended this individual, and I would like to apologize on behalf.
Okay.
Everyone, guys, I just discovered new information. Shout out to
all right.
my dear friend Outstar Walker for this.
What you got?
Posted 9 years, 8 months ago, when he was a journalist for the San Jose Mercury News.
Oh my.
Apparently, Dean reviewed Mass Effect 1, which the original review was titled Mass Defect. He went through the review and gave it a negative review because, and I quote, he forgot to assign talent points while playing the game.
The game specifically tells you to do that through a forced tutorial. How
guys,
could you miss that?
My apologies. I
didn't think this could get better.
I want to think there's good in people. I want to believe that everyone
what did he give it?
Has a chance of redemption. And,
I'm curious. What score did he give it?
I was wrong.
What score did he give it? Do you know? I'm curious.
All I have is the I'll send you the article that was posted on GameSpot 9 years ago that was just sent to me.
Oh, there was an article in 2008. Yeah, 2008. Where Kotaku amends his review, apparently, which you can't do when you write for a newspaper. One assumes. He did at least apologize for it.
I can't. The internet never forgets. Yeah. Fuck me.
For something of that level, no.
It does seem like a lack of introspection and ability to realize that you're doing something wrong and admit that it's your own fault.
Well, I mean, I think in this case he actually did admit it. Like, and I've got to give him kudos for that. He did apologize. He apologized to BioWare, Microsoft, and people like that. The gameplay is not as flawed as I thought. Nah, shit, mate. Yeah, pretty clearly isn't. So he did apologize here, but it seems like he must have been in the industry so long he's sick of apologizing. How does he still have a fucking job? I don't understand. Who hires these people?
I feel terrible. I really want to be like, maybe it's not just, people play bad. No, this is genuinely like, this is a him problem. This is, how do people keep hiring him? Why? Like, maybe he's great with tech stuff. Maybe that's cool. Stick to tech stuff. But maybe
he doesn't work for a tech website. He works for GamesBeat.
That's what I'm saying. But if you look at all the articles he posts, in those 4 to 7 articles a day, a lot of it's like tech things, like Dell dives into virtual reality, or Insta360's 4K camera.
Well, it sounds like those are just press releases. Anyone could post a press release, as we found out earlier this week with that Shadow of Mordor shit, where everyone posted identical articles not mentioning the charity exclusion thing because all they did was post the press release. So that's not a hard job. Bear in mind, this is what a lot of these sites fill their content with. It's just press releases. And that requires no talent of any description and could literally be done by a bot. Yeah. So I think it is, as far as I'm concerned, abundantly clear that there is a big gap between the unrealistic expectations of a bunch of elitists. And yes, they exist. We all know they exist. We've all been on the receiving end of it. We all know this. Yeah. And
playing Hearthstone.
Oh, God, yes. The backseat gaming, we're well aware of all of this. We've experienced this firsthand for years. But there's a huge difference between that and the basic level of competence required to do this job. And I said the level is basic. Because, and if you want to know, well, how do you define that level of basic? Here's how I define it. You are below the basic level of competence if your gameplay recording is so bad that it is significantly misrepresenting what the game's supposed to be. And obviously that's going to change on a game-by-game basis, but that's how I define it, personally. And I think, like, for Cuphead, definitely. For Doom, certainly. The Doom Polygon gameplay was definitely that. The System Shock gameplay from Polygon was definitely that. There's a bunch of others. It's just... I just will not tolerate, there's so many of these guys, like, colleagues rallying to his defense, like, fuck, you're just here to protect your fucking jobs, aren't you? Like, this is the same shit that happened years ago when people circled their wagons and tried to change the narrative to gamers are so terrible and they're so awful people. And I find that fucking insulting because we've got audience of millions of them, and I know for a fact they're not terrible people. There are some terrible people. A minority, a vocal minority.
I've met a few of those people.
They're pretty terrible. People are pretty loud.
Yes, exactly. The vocal minority is very, very loud, and they tend to overpower sometimes the silent majority of cool people. But I refuse to buy into this idea that gamers are awful as a fucking matter of course. And frankly, if you believe that, you shouldn't even be in this industry. So fuck that attitude. Take some damn responsibility for your own incompetence. Dean. Fucking Dean.
I believed in you, Dean. I really did. For a moment, I thought maybe we're just being hard on him. Yeah. Nope. You got me, dude. You got
me. Fucking Dino.
Yeah. I know, and someone pointed out in chat, by the way, pretty much the right fucking thing, that because I've struggled a bit with getting Absolver, I've held off on doing a critique video of it until I do understand it. I did the stream. I made it clear that I wasn't getting some aspects of it. I took some information from the chat and some information from people in game, but I'm like, I'm not going to make a formal assessment of this until I know what I'm doing. And maybe we could talk a bit about the tutorial and whether or not it actually teaches you things properly. That's an argument. That's something you can make. But right now, I'm not competent enough to do it. I wasn't bad at fighting, though.
It kind of throws back to a while back. Was it Donkey that made that video about
games journalists? Yeah.
It reminds me of our conversation then as well, when there was a big discourse on like us saying, well, I mean, it can't help that you guys try to put articles out literally the second the game comes out, because it's like a weird rat race, and then being like, no, that's not true, there's no race. We can put it out whenever we want. And it's like, then fucking do it and make a good fucking article.
Yeah. Why are you hitting embargo 98% of the time then? Because I know those embargo dates because they give me the same fucking ones. I put the stuff out weeks later if I have to.
Press releases, guys. It's not like you're not in a secret club. We know what's going on.
Right? We all get the same shit.
Yeah,
we know exactly what you're reading.
You can't bullshit us. Yeah, we have the same PR firms you do, you bastards. Don't think you're part of some cabal. We're in on this now. The YouTubers have invaded your castle. And the princess ain't in it. She's in another one.
We could all be hanging out in the same castle, like doing our things and being happy, but
it's not us versus you, gang. Stop making it that way.
Actually, it is in many ways, but never mind.
It's not. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
In my opinion, it does. But if you guys don't want to fight them, that's fine. I will fight them myself. It's okay.
Damn. Well, call me. Let me in the castle.
You're allowed in. Yeah, you can be in the dining room. I'm going to put these fuckers in the dungeon. Yeah, there you go.
TV's going to come to our fucking castles being like, just bend the knee and we'll fight the journalists. And we're like, I don't know.
Oh, my. Yeah, it's a little bit of red meat, but as I said, I think it's an important issue, and I'm sick of the excuses. I'm just sick of it. Suck less at your jobs. Cool. You know what else they should suck less at? Making video games, because Steam is full of shit ones. Let's go move on to releases. We're going to try and dig through this and find some better ones for you, if you don't mind. Sounds like a pretty damn good idea. Okay, we have a list of things available here. I think I've thrown them out to everybody. Quill, let me throw them in your direction as well. See if there's anything you spot in here that's good.
Two things of importance. One, the Humble Bundle is insane. It's all
another anime bundle.
It's all anime booby games. So if that's your jam, people were like, "You should go there, Jesse." I feel like you should. This is one you buy. I own almost all of them, so please, guys.
That's what happened to me too. I was like, I already got these.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for Humble Bundles these days. Like, we own all of them. It's no.
Secondly, both Nier Automata and Vanquish are on sale on Steam, so you should jump on those shits immediately.
Just be aware, Nier still hasn't had the patch to fix it for some people, so I think some people in AMD are having some issues with it. So yeah, just be aware of that game. I try to get the FAR mod for it. That helps a lot, but just be aware that that version could use a little bit of polish.
Cool.
I have a game that was on the list.
Yeah, what you got?
For September 5th, Resurgence. It's like a narrative story game about a guy who's in debt to the mob.
Okay. That sounds pretty cool.
All of the pictures are very, like, backwoodsy, though. I don't think it looks as mobstery as...
Yeah, I'm watching the footage instead. So it's, large open map with interactive environments, hidden secrets, narrative-driven gameplay, puzzles and minigames, including wolf battles, duck hunts. Hey, I'm on board now. Fucking wolf battles? The wolf battle, yes. Yeah. All right, so yes, there's that.
Blood Bowl 2 Legendary Edition comes out today.
It does, yes. What does that include, race-wise?
It adds in Amazons and...
God, that's a lot of stuff.
What's the other one? Shit.
Seems like it adds more than that.
That's what's included in this.
I'm looking at the Legendary Edition that I'm looking at right now. Yeah, there's a package involving it. And then there's also this other version. I'm trying to figure out what the actual Legendary Edition contains rather than just this giant package.
The official expansion.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is the package. I think it's the same. Yeah, it looks like it looks like so you get everything. You get the and you get Norse, Undead, Nurgle, Khemri, Lizardmen, Wood Elves, Chaos Dwarves, and Necromantic. And I think that expansion, as you were saying, Dodger, probably includes the Amazons.
Halflings, ogres, goblins, vampires, Amazons, Elven Union, Underworld denizens.
And a new race to Blood Bowl, the Kislev Circus and their ferocious tame bears.
I do not know those.
Yeah, that's brand new. So there you go.
Bears?
Bears. You can have bear players. Bear protagonist. Our dream has been realized. We love it. Excellent. Yeah, that's a lot of races.
Sorry, there's another game called Tiny Toy Fair.
Okay.
And it's a tower defense game where everything's a toy.
Yeah, there's actually been quite a few of these.
This looks really silly and cute.
Was Toy Soldiers like about 10 years ago on Xbox, and they had a few others like this as well. Yep. Those are pretty cool. There was like a World War I themed one, a World War II themed one with kind of army men. Yeah, they've done a few of these. Looks kind of neat, as you said. It is unfortunately a tower defense game, so convincing people to do anything with that will be tricky, but hey. Let's see, what else is there in here?
I think for the horror game crowd out there...
Oh, is it Don't Knock Twice?
Don't Knock Twice.
Yeah.
Apparently is supposed to be really, really good. It's a VR game, but I guess there's a non-VR version out there somewhere.
Yes. It certainly looks good. Like, the lighting is pretty
it's supposed
killer.
To be awesome. So...
Yeah, that's nice. I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, it includes a non-VR version, and it's $16, which is pretty good for VR games that usually have a pretty hefty premium put on them. So that might be something that looks like Unreal 4. Yeah, the lighting looks great. There's some good art in it. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere near that.
There's a game on here that I really just want to see Dodger play because I'm curious. It's called Amplitude, a visual novel. The premise is you are murdered and like make a deal with the devil to come back to life, but then the gameplay looks super chibi and I can't like it is hilarious looking.
For some reason, just froze. There we go.
I was like, oh, okay, sure.
September 6th, there's a game that looks real weird called The Hunt Rebuilt.
Oh.
The Hunt Rebuilt.
It's the tags are violent RPG gore with sexual content, but everything that I see on this is an animal, so that makes me a little concerned.
Okay. This looks like it's been an RPG maker. Oh, maybe not. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, right?
You're a deer, apparently, for some reason. All right, cool.
In a house,
I guess.
and then you're in. And then the last line of the trailer literally is "Don't die."
Well, that's a good piece of advice, really.
Don't die, my dude.
Don't die.
Eat the honeycomb. Don't die.
I'm surprised you were not interested in Cats Tanks. Tanks game, which will make you remember
like
the past.
Garbage.
That's got. Yep, it looks like absolute fucking dog shit or cat shit in this case. Screw that. Let's see, is that? So, oh yeah, Survive on Mars is coming out on September 6th.
We can choose Surviving Mars.
Yes, those are two very different things. One is a first-person survival game on Mars with some weird kind of invasion mechanics, I'm told. And then there is Surviving Mars, which I think is a management game, right? It's basically like playing the Martian.
Building survival. And so the same people who were on the Tropico 4 and 5 team, I think.
Yeah.
Same company.
Yeah, we keep getting mixed up between these two. I was like, because one of them is by Paradox. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look like Paradox to me, but all right.
It's published by Paradox.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah, whereas this survival game has nothing to do with that. Let's see, what else is there that looks good? I was like, oh, Space Merc sounds like fun, but is it? It's probably crap.
On the 7th, I want to give a Dodger, please play this with me for a Cox Tease. Tokyo Dark.
Oh.
Yes, I've heard of this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Squeenix are publishing it as part of the Collective.
It's a point and click meets visual novel with basically it's about sanity and murder and violence on the streets of Tokyo.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I just want to play like a little, like maybe an hour of it, then you can just go nuts with this bad boy. But it looks crazy.
Let's fucking do it.
It's like some pretty nice art in it. Looks pretty good.
The Witch's Tale also looks kind of cool.
What's
the
all
art
about
style
it?
is very much up my alley.
Is it another visual novel? Or...
Mm-mm.
I don't see The Witch's Tale anyway. You mean The Witch's Isle?
You mean?
The Witch's Isle, I'm sorry.
Yes. An adventure game that takes place in a dreamlike town or solitary island. Yes, puzzle adventure game.
Interesting.
Yeah, looks all right. I like the amount of detail and the layers to the city is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. On the 8th... Oh yeah, there's Age of Gladiators 2. The first one I thought was supposed to be all right. Let's have a quick look. Age of Gladiators 2. Oh, this was in 3000 AD with gladiators, apparently. That is not what I expected.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't look brilliant, but having space gladiators is fun. I like that idea. It just doesn't look very good, unfortunately. I want to know what Scuffle Scoundrels
Girls
is.
in Dungeons. Get the fuck out. Oh
Have you
my
looked at
god,
it yet?
exactly what I think it is. What is this game?
What's it called?
Sorry, Jake. I'm looking for it right now.
What's it called?
Oh, yep. Girls and Dungeons.
Okay,
Yep.
It's another
exactly.
cute fan servicey
exactly
dungeon
what
crawling
Jesse
booby
imagined.
game. Yeah.
Wow.
Basically RPG Maker. Yeah, there's about 10 of these games a week. Like, this is not new at this point.
I'm not gonna lie, the last screenshot they have is actually pretty entertaining. It's like, I just like the way that guy's like, I just got laid and here's my sword. I don't know. It's cute.
Jesus. Bad Government, a politically incorrect satire-based roguelike text game? No, thanks. God, there's really not a lot this week, is there? I was going to say Tooth and Tail, but that's actually next Tuesday is the full release of that game.
Not till next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that
would
one.
be super dope. That game's tons of fun.
Yeah, I'll play that with you. I can't find
We
Ring
could get a whole
Gong
bunch
here.
of people to play.
Yeah,
I think
well, should
4
be good.
people?
Yeah, I think so. I don't really see anything else here that's really of any interest. Of course, Knack 2 came out today, which for some reason is missing from the list. It's getting very mixed reviews, which I guess is what you'd expect for Knack.
What?
And of course,
Knack?
some people are like, well, why are you ignoring Destiny 2? Because it's the PS4 version. Who gives a shit? We're waiting for the PC one. So that, yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. The first big reviews I saw so far, besides people being like, it kind of reminds me of Destiny 1. The big thing is people are
They can't
saying
review it yet. They didn't have any review copies.
The game, like that actually
Oh yeah, microtransactions. Yeah, that actually give you weapons. I heard about that too. That's not
real or
great.
not, but that's not cool if that's true.
No, it's not. Destiny 2 microtransactions. We're gonna see what's up with that. Some Destiny microtransaction loot gives you an in-game advantage according to PC Games N as of 6 hours ago. So you can buy bright engrams can be purchased for silver, which is the real money currency. You can get cooldown mods and elemental weapon mods that give you a in-game benefit.
That carries over into PvP?
I mean, all the stuff does, doesn't it, in that game? Isn't that the point? Your gear carries over into PvP? There is one point to mention, though. You cannot... bright engrams will drop whenever you gain a new experience level once you hit level 20. So you do earn an unlimited amount during the course of normal gameplay. So it seems like this is just going to give you a boost early on if for some fucking reason you want that. Otherwise, it looks like you'll probably be drowning in them later on. We'll have to see how that plays out. The problem is no one's played it enough, and there definitely weren't review copies of this to the best of my knowledge because the servers won't have been up, so we don't know yet, basically. Anything that's saying Destiny 2 review at this point is useless. So we'll keep an eye on that, and of course most of us are waiting for the PC version because it is objectively superior, whether Polygon likes to admit it or not.
Can't wait. Yeah, but if you're playing it right now, for reals, post your thoughts because a lot of PC gamers are waiting for you to tell us whether it's actually a good game or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I'm not going to buy it till I know it's awesome. Sorry, Battle.net.
Yeah, all the previews currently out of Destiny 2 were done at a press event where they had a maximum of 20 hours, and we all know how inaccurate press events can be, as we saw from Metal Gear Solid 5, when people didn't realize that the game doesn't have a fucking ending and all that other shit. So that's something you might want to bear in mind. We will see. Yeah, I don't know what the rules are for gear and PvP in Destiny 2. I'm going to be completely honest with you, but we'll see how it plays out, basically. It's worth keeping an eye on, certainly. Probably not a huge concern right now, but we'll keep an eye on it. And yeah, feel free. Go beta test the game for us. We'll be waiting on PC. I'm not worried about waiting a month and a half for this, because it's way, way better. And console is 30 FPS, regardless of what system you run, which is garbage. So, yeah. Cool. I think that pretty much wraps it up. I don't see anything else on the list that's really worthy of attention.
You looked at Lords of Waterdeep?
Yeah, that came out. So that came out last week, didn't it? It's a port of the iOS version to the point where it still has in-app store purchase written in it. Yeah. So they might want to work on that a bit, but it's a conversion of the board game. I will play it because the board game is pretty cool. And the version on PC has both the expansions available for it as well. So
yeah, I'm really curious about it because I would love to. I love digital board games and everything, and but a lot of them are not great, especially things that come out.
Some of the ports are pretty bad. Yeah,
but I'll probably have to pick this one up.
Yeah, some of those are pretty rubbish. Cool. That pretty much wraps us up. Thank you very much for watching, folks. But before we go, we'd love to once again remind you that the latest episode of the Co-optional Podcast Animated is currently available over on youtube.com/cynicalbreak. Go watch it. And of course, the cartoonists would very much appreciate $1 if you happen to have one lying around. That would be great. Patreon.com/cooptionalanimation, I believe, is the place to go. Co-optional animation, if you want to do that. The link's in the description of the video. Quill, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Much appreciated. Yeah. What are you going to be playing this week? What can we expect coming up from your channel?
Well, certainly a lot more Kaiserreich, Hoi 4 stuff coming out. I'm going to be doing a new Europa Universalis series coming up soon as well. Still doing some Civ 5. Looks like my Civ 6 UI mod that I like to do has finally been updated, so Civ 6 is probably back.
Cool.
More Fortress series going on. And I'm doing some board game review videos as well.
Nice, nice. What was the latest one you played out of interest?
The latest one I played was actually called Power Grid. I got the anniversary edition of that, and it was surprisingly good. It's got an interesting player order balancing mechanic that I've never seen before that I thought was very, very, very nice.
Yeah, Power Grid's considered pretty much a classic at this point. It's that good. And it's like, oh, building a power network sounds really boring. It's not. You might want to play it.
It's really good. The other one I'm playing a lot of right now is Eclipse Dawn of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
just because we don't have enough time to play Twilight Imperium.
Nobody has enough time to play Twilight Imperium. Nobody in the universe. That's bullshit, and anyone who claims otherwise is a liar. Stinking liar. But you can get Eclipse on iOS. There's an iOS version. I don't think there's one of Power Grid.
No, but there is a Steam version as well of Eclipse, and it's perfectly fine.
Nice.
I mean, basically the same thing, but it works perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's like a space strategy game, right? Kind of like a 4X, but a board game.
Yeah. You build up your little empire, you discover new hexes, and you go and beat people up.
Very cool.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Dave. Much appreciated. Dodger, what you got?
I stream a lot. You should watch my streams. Twitch.tv/DexBonus. And YouTube has been very quiet lately because YouTube is weird. But I do post silly things on there occasionally. So I'd love it if you would check that out as well. And if you would like to tune into Manga Pod tonight, which is like our manga book club, that happens on my Twitch channel at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And we're reading a manga called Wandering Sun, chapter 1 through 25. That's our first manga that touches on trans issues. And it's really adorable and sweet. And I really love it. So I'm excited to talk about it tonight. But yeah, that's it.
Nice. Jesse, what's going on with your channel this week? What's going on?
We got some of that Scary Game Squad coming about a Japanese FMV style horror game. And then there's some Life is Strange and a few other fun things happening this week. But that'll be on the channel. In real life, I'm taking a week off. I'm vanishing. So I bid
Good
you
for you,
adieu,
dude.
Internet.
How dare you?
Goodbye.
Your job is easy. It isn't a real job, and you should work all the time for us. Make more reviews. To be fair, you don't make enough reviews. You've made zero reviews.
I made 0 reviews.
Yeah, I mean, that isn't that my point? Stop being lazy. Make reviews. What's wrong with you?
Everybody should go watch Good Game. First 2 episodes of Good Game.
Yeah, how the fuck did you avoid shilling that this entire episode? Come on, do
third
better.
episode's out tomorrow. I shilled it all weekend. I think I'm worn out of shilling.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yes.
So it's not on my mind at the moment. But yeah, third episode's out tomorrow. It is about, ironically, playing too much video games and how that can have problems with your health. So
it can.
I would say tune into that. If you have a YouTube Red, you should pick it up. It does actually benefit us in the long run to have YouTube Red. So
it very much does. And if you have, let me put it this way, if you listen to any of the reactionary idiots that can't do basic mathematics that were YouTubers when Red first came out that said, Red's going to be bad for us. They're idiots. They're stupid. They can't do basic mathematics. For fuck's sake, get Red if you can. If you can afford it, trust, it does help everybody you watch in a pretty damn meaningful way. Here's a great example.
That out outside of the US. This bullshit.
Let me put it this way.
I agree with that. They should.
Yeah, there's 45 countries that currently supports. I think it's Australia, America, South Korea, and 2 other countries, I think. It's not in the UK. They need to sort that out. Most of the European countries don't have it either, so we totally get that. You can, of course, as you said, watch the first episode for free on the Game Grumps channel if you don't have it. But yeah,
and you can buy the episodes individually, right?
You can on Google Play. I think they're like $1.80 each or something like that if you want to do it that way. Mm-hmm. The Red is very helpful. Let me put it this way: like the podcast makes a lot of good ad revenue, and lately, Red revenue has slightly eclipsed the amount of money we get from ads. That's massive. That's a huge deal. So absolutely, if you ever ask, does Red help the YouTubers that I like? Yes. Do you not want to watch any bullshit ads anymore? Yes. Cool. There's your solution. Great. If you would like to do that in a non-ad blocky kind of way. And we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Definitely.
As for me, you're not going to get much from me this week because this may, hopefully, and I say this with the fucking crossed fingers in all possible ways and toes, this might be my final chemo session. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. It's all going to be depending on what they see on the CT scan. If they see something still there, we're going to keep hitting the fucking thing until it goes away. But I would be pretty happy. Let me put it that way. So there's not going to be much on the channel for the rest of the week. So I'm going to be doing chemo from Wednesday to Friday. I'll hopefully be back on my feet around Sunday and get back to streaming around Monday. And the Co-optional Podcast next week will be brought to you with the same crew. Plus, Ms. Alana Pierce is bringing herself back to the show. She was on a couple of years ago, and she's great, and she's coming back to the show next week. That is on the 12th of September at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. British summertime, 9 p.m. Central European summertime. There you go. And Dodger, you were about to say something?
I was about to say that really early in the morning that same day is when I'm getting my first round of cavities taken care of.
Oh, that will be fun.
First
I'm sure you
round?
won't
First
sound.
round?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
there we
that's
go.
why you should go to the dentist, folks, if you can't.
That's why you should go to the fucking
fucking
dentist.
Yeah.
You have to go for two. You're like in a prize fight. Round 1. Good luck.
Yeah, that's whoo, woo lad. That's rough. That is rough.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
sorry to hear about
so
that.
they've assured me that my mouth will not be numb anymore by the time I need to talk on this podcast.
I don't
but
fucking believe
just
them for a
heads up.
second.
Odd.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the Corruptional Podcast. As always, we'll be back same time next week, 3 p.m. Eastern. If you missed any of the show and you subscribe to the Twitch channel, it's available right now on the VODs. Go catch up with whatever you missed. If not, Thursday, as usual, the release for the Corruptional Podcast on iTunes and YouTube and SoundCloud as well. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to our special guest, Quill18, today, who is going to be going back to conquering Europe, most likely in his Hearts of Iron 4 playthrough. Go watch that. Go check out his channel. It's been below his name for the last 3 fucking hours. How did he miss it? I don't know. Maybe you should be a games journalist if you miss things that obvious. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye!
Bye.